and good evening, and welcome to another exciting show. Hey! And guess who we've got in the show today? We have Hanorak or Paul. Good evening,
Good
Hanorak.
evening. Good evening,
And
all.
we've
Evening,
got
Eric. Evening,
we've
Ben.
got. Hang on, what's going on?
Can you see me?
Yes,
I'm here.
we can see you.
Chris looks.
That's it. Sorry, I got a double track there. Sorry about that. And we've also got Ben Emlyn Jones before the double
Hello.
track took over. So good evening, and we're going to talk about. Now he's an ex-hospital porter. We're going to talk about portals, and I think my granny she got some cream for her portals, so you're perfectly okay there. But now, as an ex-hospital porter, you might be able to advise on this embarrassing condition.
Ooh,
You see,
I'm not a doctor, but still.
but today, you see, being a tight-fisted git, I've been throwing out some old shavers. You see, because I'm one of these dry shaving people. Are you dry shave? Do you drive or dry or wet shave?
I just have a normal disposable wet shaver, but wet razor.
Okay, and
That's my whole head. That includes the rest of me as well.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
I
And
do the whole lot.
Hanorak, are you a dry or wet shave?
I'm a dry shave, but I'm well at the moment. I'm growing it all because it's bloody warm under here. I tell you, when I shave it all off, it's a bit dippy. So at the moment, it's sort of spreading outwards.
Excellent.
Fungus.
Well, you see, thought, I think I found a 50-year-old shaver, brawn shaver. So I thought, I think I'll give it a try this morning. I won't throw this out. Well, shavers have come a long way in 50 years. See, I go, it's like putting bloody sandpaper over your face. I mean, look at the state. Look, I mean, my face is all red. I thought, I got a nice shave, and about 30 seconds afterwards, I was going,
Yeah, it cuts as close as a blade, shaves as close as a blade. In other words, it takes your skin off.
Yeah, it does, because it's electronic stuff now, which stops you getting. This was a file shaver. It stops you getting this sort of like burn effect. And of course, this is 50 years old, and brawns are very, very good shavers. But it goes like a bleeding clammers, it does. But gives you a good shave, yeah. But look at the state of my face.
So you look like you've done 10 rounds with Mike Tyson.
It does, doesn't it? Well, in chat we've got Aunt Sally. Evening, folks. Hey, hello, Aunt Sally. Now she says, Aunt Sally, I have to give my son a lift. It's a bit expensive, isn't it? I mean, you've got the builders in to sort of knock the staircase out and get it in.
Is he going up in the world?
Somewhere soon. Yes. He wants a rise. Soon we will be listening whilst I'm driving about.
Oh,
well,
cool.
yes. So
we're great drive time entertainment. We are, yeah.
You'll
Yes,
try
we
to
certainly
elevate
are.
your mood.
This show's just going up and down, isn't it? But evening, everyone. And Aunt Sally said, I wish to donate my 2-finger salute and raspberry to the Houses or the House of Parliament. Certainly.
Yeah.
And as we said on the previous show, was it that way is rude and that way means victory, apparently.
Yeah.
So I heard. Because
unless you sat on a bus and someone's behind you.
Yes, that's right. Because it comes from the what was it now? Agincourt, when the French captured British archers, they cut the 2 fingers off to stop them pulling their longbows. And when we capture French prisoners, we used to go to show we've got 2 fingers left, and that's where it comes from. There we go. Yes. Now we got here Alice Gorgeous. Hello, you lot. Hello. We've got Matilda. Hello. Hi. Hey. And then they've got Alvin Kurt. Hello, Alvin Kurt. Who will be on the show pretty soon. So they're coming up soon on another show, on a future show. So that's pretty good. Alice Gorgeous says, I have Ben on my FB account. I'm sure he was... Have you got a Facebook? Of course you have. You must have. He was on...
Raconta's News. Oh, Chris is frozen.
I'll say you're frozen again.
Yeah.
Am I still there?
You froze briefly.
So did you.
Did you see
We
now?
both saw
Yeah.
it. On back, I believe you was on Raconteurs News.
Yeah, this was when in the days. Yeah, that was in the good old days. Unfortunately, it's no longer at work. It's no longer around. Unfortunately, they're not going anymore. What's his name?
Anyway.
I can't think of his name right now. He passed away sadly. What's his name?
Did he? I remember Raconteurs
Sorry, I can't
News.
think of his name.
Yes.
But he died. He died last year, I think.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, I remember. Did you see that Scottish chappie?
No, that was no. That was Kev Baker.
Kev Baker. That's
he
it.
passed away too. Yeah, it's we seem to be losing them all, unfortunately.
Yes,
which is very sad.
Asperger's as Fudge. Now that name should be in the House of Commons as an MP. Asperger's as Fudge. A ruddy good evening to you all, and he should join
Jason and Andy. That's right, Alice. Yeah,
that's it. Yes, Jason and Andy, and I actually think. Would you like to join my campaign to get whoopee cushions, fill them with gravy, and shove them on the House of Commons seats? That would be fun.
Well, they make more sense. They would make more sense, wouldn't they, than they do when they're opening their mouths?
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Feeling sad. No one has said hello to me.
Oh, sorry.
Hello
Sue.
to me. Hello to me. Oh, hello, Sue. Did I miss you?
I said hello, Sue. Hello.
Yes.
Sorry, Sue.
Hello,
Sue.
Sue. Well, it's National Ignorance Day, and I'm doing it for my bit for National Ignorance, so I hope you don't mind.
So what was that, Chris?
That's it, you see. I mean, I ignored Ben at the beginning of the show for National Ignorance, so there we go.
Who said that?
Now, this evening, we're looking at something going on up there. Now, as we know, or those of you who don't know Ben is a leading authority on, was it UAEs now, isn't it? Or UFOs?
They're called UAPs. I mean, I still say UFO, but the official term is UAP. It's actually not a new term. It actually was started in the 80s in this country, actually. And then they've moved over. They've taken over now because it just sounds less weird than UFO, which is ironic, really, because the term UFO only dates back to the Robertson panel of 1952. The thing is, like the UFO makes the word UFO reminds people of crazy people with tinfoil hats and things like that, and
that's
so
right.
they don't want to be associated with that kind of people. So the government changed it to UAP. The thing is, the term UFO was invented in 1952 by the Robertson panel for the very same reason, because they thought flying saucer sounded too crazy, so they wanted something serious and scientific. And then, of course, we loonies culturally appropriated UFO, which is why they had to change it to UAP. I know. I know what you mean about Jason. Jason died. It was Jason who died. Yeah, very sad. Yeah.
Jason, yes, very. Now, for some unknown reason,
Newsy. Yeah.
Rumble is doing its usual software thing, and I can't actually highlight things along the bottom of the screen. So I'm sorry about that. Unless we could all take a breath and I move onto a different slot. Fancy doing that before we start? I'll move on to a different slot. It'd just be a slight break and we come straight back. Okay.
Sure.
Because the bloody thing's done its usual thing. All right, it won't be a moment. We're just going to another.
Do you want us just to sing to the audience for a second?
Yes, sing something simple. Here we go.
I'm dreaming of a wet Christmas, just like the ones we've never known.
That's it. We're there.
Spray and temperatures stay in double figures with no snow. COP26 is finished with a plan to deindustrialize. If you don't,
that's it.
We will create a scare, so you'll believe our carbon conning lies. There we are.
Very good.
Is he back? He's back.
I'm back. Yes. Well, what I did, I just changed the feeds over. This happens with Rumble occasionally. Just things sort of go. So I just go on a different feed. Now, what we're going to say is we're going to talk about something going on up there. The link between Bigfoot, UFOs, and a lot of other things with portals. Now, I've been watching a few YouTubes. And there's these people in Canada and America saying that they spot the tracks. They follow these trackers, follow the tracks of Bigfoot, and suddenly they stop. and a chap's got film, and it's like a kind of orb that appears, and it's as if they've walked, and there's been lots of eyewitness reports as if they've seen a Bigfoot type creature walk out of like a portal or walk into one, and then they observe us and they walk back in the portal and it goes. And there's been observers with UFOs as well that seen like a portal, something would appear, then a blink of an eye, it's gone. Have you anything to say about that, Ben? Because it's quite fascinating.
This low observability is one of the 5 observables, which is that they're very, very difficult to see, and very often they can just disappear and reappear. And it appears that they sometimes are seen. It's almost like there's an energy field which they come in and out of, and then they just come and go. And when they pass through this energy field, they just vanish. It's as if the navigators and engineers of these craft have developed some way to make them sort of to disappear out of the universe altogether into hyperspace. That's what's often said. I mean, it's a bit like the wormholes in Star Trek. They use in Star Trek, the warp speed things.
Yes,
they use in Star Trek, which is completely science fictional, but it's been theorized. I mean, there's something called something theoretical called the Alcubierre drive, which is apparently what the Starship Enterprise uses in the series, which is where it essentially creates a kind of space-time bubble, which allows it to bypass the normal space-time continuum and turn them so it doesn't have to worry about traveling faster than light, which is technically not possible. But if you can bypass space altogether, you can arrive somewhere else without actually going through that space. So in a sense, you have broken the light barrier, but you've actually just taken a shortcut. And
that's interesting. Yeah, sorry,
which should be really important, because I mean, the thing is, because the universe is so huge, if you can't travel faster than light, you can never get to the planet you need to get to in time for the next episode. In fact, the entire crew of the Enterprise would be dead, and their grandchildren would be dead by the time they actually arrive at their planet. Which wouldn't do good much for the ratings. So
no, it wouldn't.
It's a kind of plot device for the series, I suppose. This thing, but it's not just a plot device. It has been theorized in physics. There's the Einstein-Rosen bridge, as it's called.
Really? Because I mean, my neighbour, he drives his car at warp factor 3 when he drives out. Yeah. I mean, it's all off it goes, But I actually personally believe that when people pass over, they die, they go into a portal and go into like a parallel universe or something like that, and that's where we can communicate through this sort of mind and that. And like, for example, when my parents passed away, they came to me in my dreams, and a lot of people have said that, and they sometimes do now come to me in my dreams. Have you found that at all, Anorak or Paul?
Yeah, I'm certainly on the belief that the body is a transport for the soul, and that when the body decides it's had enough and dies, the soul goes off to do something else. Which is why I think a lot of the time I know you talk a lot about like the World War I, World War II, and you can, even though perhaps we weren't there, maybe we actually were. Maybe we've seen.
I agree with you.
Maybe we've been on this maybe our 20th life here, 50th life here, 100th life here. Maybe we remember the atrocities of World War I and II, and I do believe we've been here before. I think, because I mean, sometimes you can go to a location, the old deja vu, or you step off somewhere, you think, I've never been here before, but I recognise it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As though you've been there before, and it's
I know what you mean.
And I think that with the portals, I think that is something I was watching a while back, or talking about, that they say that things like birds are interdimensional beings, and how come some days you can get up and you won't see a bird at all day, and then the next day there's loads of like pigeons everywhere. You think, well, where were they yesterday? Did they all disappear off, or do they?
I agree with you. But just robins seem to appear after someone's passed away.
Yes.
This happened every time. And there was a robin literally sitting outside my kitchen window on the fence, just literally looking straight in the window for ages, just sort of in a friendly way.
robins are, I think they play a role in the Wicca or Anglo-Saxon mythology and Celtic mythology. Of course, they're famous for being, unlike most birds, they don't seem to have any fear of humans. They'll often approach us quite closely. What you said about, thank you very much, Alice.
That's kind.
What you said about tunnels, you say that people go down into a portal when they die. The soul goes into a portal. It's interesting you say that because, I mean, we've discussed on this program before near-death experiences, of which there's been a lot of research done. It's very interesting research done into this, where one of the features of a typical near-death experience is that it begins with an out-of-body experience. So the first thing a person sees is they look down, they see their own body, which is dying. Very often there's doctors and nurses trying to resuscitate them. Next thing they know, they eventually go to a place it's called the area, which is very heavenly-like. But to get there, they have to go down a tunnel, and they often describe going down some kind of tunnel. And I think that's very, very interesting, isn't it? You said that, and you mentioned tunnels, and it's almost like there's a tunnel connecting our world with that, and maybe the different past lives we have. Because I mean, what Anorak was saying about the past lives. There's people who have distinct past life memories, and you mentioned the war. There's a guy called Jason Leninger. He was when he was 3 years old. He was born in the 90s, and when he's 3 years old, he said, James Leninger. He says, I'm James Leninger III, because there was another guy called James Leninger, and he was a pilot in World War II, and I was him. And even at a very young age, he seems to know an awful lot about how aircraft work, like these old World War II planes and things like that. Probably interesting. Now, these memories faded as he got older. By the time he was about 10 or 11 years old, they were gone completely, which is often the case. These memories do tend to fade. It's mostly young children who talk about past life memories. Yeah, I personally have no past life memories, but they were able to corroborate a lot of his memories, including even meeting his previous life sister, who was a lady who was by then very old, but he went up to her and said hello, like he knew her.
Really?
Very interesting case.
Fantastic.
Past life memory case.
My dad often said that I was possibly the reincarnation of his brother, who died about 3 years before I was born, and he's very close to his brother. And but as I've said on several other programs, I've always felt that Cornwall is my home, even though I live in Hertfordshire. The closer I get to Cornwall, the closer I feel I'm going home. And I mean, there's a weak family link there, very weak. It's strange. I don't understand it.
Do you find that you get different energy feelings as well, depending on where you are as well?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah.
Well, like, for example, no offense to anybody from Birmingham, but I think Birmingham is a very soulless, characterless.
Yeah.
There's no real nice energy about Birmingham at all. I can't explain that one, but I've spent many a day there, and I never come away and thinking, I really enjoyed that. But then you go somewhere like Liverpool, where it's all old world buildings, or I don't know, go down to London for the day and have a travel around, and you come away and I enjoyed that. It was a good day. Certain towns, certain cities seem to have a different energy than others as well.
I agree with you.
That's very true. Yeah. I think Birmingham has again, no offense, but I can't help feeling when I go there. I don't like the place. It feels wrong to me. It does have. There's a kind of darkness there. I don't like.
And I wonder if that links to the portals that you're talking about. Before we came on, I was talking about like different gates and how often the word gate appears in certain towns and cities and parts of it, like Wigan Wallgate, as I said before, Wakefield Westgate. Makes you wonder if these cities are built on, as we say, portals or things that relate to their world or the energy world, as to why they were built there in the first place.
That's an interesting point, because, well, by the way, what I was going to say is, you talk about people having near-death experiences. Keir Starmer has a near-life experience. Apparently, they he had a near. Hang on, is he there? Are we? Is he with us? But do you? I mean, where you are, do you feel comfortable where you are? I've always felt, even though I've lived here most of my life, where I am is I'm a visitor. My true home is Cornwall. That's where I've always felt. But the trouble is, it costs a fortune to live there. and I don't know anybody there. Well, I do now. There are a couple of people in chat that live in Cornwall, so hello. But no, seriously, do you ever feel? I mean, you're originally from Wales, Ben.
Yeah, I there's certain places I feel more at home with than others. I mean, I love Lytham St Anne's. I really love. It's a beautiful place.
Oh, posh.
That's in Lancashire. Yeah, it's just south of Blackpool, but it's like another world from Blackpool. It's a beautiful place. Well, I just went there a couple of weeks ago, and I loved it. I had a fantastic time. And other places I don't like, and I feel bad about.
Is the Keir Starmer of cities. Well, I'm sorry, I'm sorry about cutting on you there, but that is a classic. Sorry, let's get my funny.
So I have to say your link with the duchy, Chris, is I think a bit like my link with the Czech Republic and the country as a whole. I love the Czech Republic. I wish I could speak the lingo.
There's a link there.
I'll absolutely love it there. I've seen that entire country, and I love every minute of it. Whenever I'm over there, it's amazing.
I know what you mean.
You'd be happy if you went to live there. I mean, it's you could get like a job and learn the language and sort of like. Would you think that'll make you happy?
No. But that's very kind.
Who's
in Cornwall. Thanks,
Sue
mate.
She's been to Lytham. What did Sue say about Lytham St Anne's?
Where are we?
She said something about Lytham St Anne's just now. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Oh.
Sue says, I live near Lytham St Anne's, as was in Lytham, I was in Lytham today, walking on the prom, Ben.
Oh, lovely. Brilliant.
And nice. Who's that comedian? He lived in Lytham St Anne's, didn't he? Les Dawson.
Formby.
George Formby, Les Dawson.
Did he? Oh, right, yeah. It's a beautiful place. It really is. I went to a conference there a couple of weeks ago, the Lapis conference. It'd be worth going to Lapis, actually. You might like it there.
Yes.
That's the Lancashire Anomalous Phenomena Investigation Society. It's like a local group that full of people who like believe in weird stuff. You might like it if you like this show.
Well, hang on a minute, Ben. I like that. But yes, that's right. But suppose we were transported 150 years back, okay? And we said they're going to send signals through the space, through the air, and you'd be able to see people at the other side of the world and talk to them. They'd lock us up as a lunatic. They say, no, it's witchcraft. It's bonkers, these people. But sending signals through the air, you can't do that. And we'd be able to talk on phones to anywhere in the world. So that is something that, I believe that we may be dealing with civilizations that are well in advance of us, and we are just primitive.
In terms of this is why it's possible they found a way to make portals work and make wormholes work, so they can travel very long distances to us, and they don't actually have to travel millions of years through space. They can actually maybe nip through a much shorter period of time, which would be quite something. Yeah. It is. I mean, like.
Hang on, Ben, is Miles still active?
Yes, he is. In fact, next weekend he's doing a conference in Pewsey, Wiltshire. If you want to get along to that.
Oh, yeah. I know Miles, the Irish chappie.
Yeah, Miles Johnston. Yep, he's still active.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's good. And also, there's a Miles Fleetwood, who's Dr. Miles Fleetwood.
Oh, nice.
And I'd like to say that he is my doctor because he's a natural doctor. He's an acupuncturist, nutrition, and all this. He's very, very good. And he should be coming on the show on the 4th of January, kicking and screaming. I'm going to drag him on the show. Come on, Miles, you're coming on the show.
You haven't placed a bet, have you?
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, actually, he's got ancestors, I think, in Ireland, because he had the oldest grandfather lived in Ireland, and it said they found a gravestone that says 205 miles from Dublin. So isn't that amazing? So a man lived to 205 miles from Dublin, you see?
Very
so
good.
that was a gravestone all on its own at the corner of a road. So there we go.
Well, with regards to portals and things like that, don't they reckon? Because they reckon the portals to do with black boxes is one of the things they talk about with regards to portals. And don't they reckon that the smartphones and the modern TVs and even mirrors could be deemed as a form of a portal?
Yes. Oh, by the way, Ben, you sent a message. We can only see it.
Oh, right, just telling Sue do it on another conference. Yeah. I'm not logged in, unfortunately. I'm not. It's called Lapis, LAPIS. I'm trying to tell you about the organisation.
I'll copy it and paste it in there for you.
Thanks, mate. Thanks, mate. It's much appreciated.
You know, about mirrors. I mean, their mirrors used to have a ritual effect. There's lots of cultures actually had mirrors, and they used them not like we use them. They used them for ritual effects because it's almost like you can see through them into another world, and they appear in fiction. You know, Alice Through the Looking Glass, etc., etc. And apparently, if you in Fortean Times, they've warned against putting two mirrors in front of each other, so you get an infinite regress. Apparently, that can open a portal, and you shouldn't. And there's a lady called Rosemary Ellen Guiley, she's passed away now, and she said that you shouldn't sleep with a mirror in your bedroom because when you're asleep, you're vulnerable to other entities, and the entities can use the mirror to come through.
Oh, and I tell you something else I don't like is mirrors in gardens. I don't like.
Yeah, I don't know why people have mirrors in gardens.
I don't know. My neighbour has. But we've got one here for you, Mr. Ranorak, because Mr. Ranorak believes I'll let him explain, but it says here, with the Jollyman, facing north, the sun sets counterclockwise, rises east to west, right to left. Facing south, sets clockwise, rises west to east. I think you got around the wrong way round, mate. Hang on. Left to right. All without being inverted on a spheroid. Now, hang on a minute. If you're facing north, surely the sun... Oh, that's right. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west, unless you're in Australia, where it's the other way round. And facing south... I'm sorry, you're right, I'm wrong. Facing south sets counterclockwise, rises west to east, left to right.
Which I suppose, in theory, on the basis of the sun and moon being local to us, I still stand by that one. That I suppose if you're in the southern hemisphere, if the sun is travelling across, well, we're in the northern hemisphere, and the sun is travelling around us, not the other way around. So the sun would rise in the east and set in the west. But if you're in the southern hemisphere, you'd see it rise in the west and set in the east. That makes sense, I think, because the sun doesn't disappear; it just travels on. So a bit like if you're, I suppose the best example out of this was recently we had a Chinook fly across the building where I work, and I was watching this helicopter disappear off in the distance, and it literally just went beyond my vanishing, beyond my perspective of being able to see it. But if I'd have trained a telescope on it, I'd have been able to bring that helicopter back in until it went beyond its vanishing point again. So I think that's what he's trying to get to, is that the sun is basically, it never sets, it just continues travelling on.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Sometimes you see somebody...
And the blue sky you see in the blue sky you see during the daytime is the sun lighting up both above and below it. That's what the blue sky is.
And the only reason when he dips below the horizon, that's basically the Earth coming between you and the sun, which is why it's nighttime. Yeah.
Well, I have one today. Now, if you believe the Earth is round and believe what NASA tells you, if my fist represented, say, the Earth, the Moon would be 30 foot away, and Mars would be a mile away. That's if you believe that the Moon, because I think the Moon is possibly a gas. I don't know. I'm not sure.
I hope people won't think too badly of me, but I think the Earth is round, and that's not because NASA told me. It's because you can actually tell. And we're going to have a flat Earth debate. Oh wow!
Well, we did have a debate, didn't we, Mr. Ranorak, with Nathan, and it was a very polite, gentlemanly debate. And this is the ones I like to do. I actually said that the world is square. Michael Benting was right, and you thought fall off the edge. No, but joking aside, I think it might. I don't know. I keep an open mind all the time, but I think it might be round, but stationary. I don't think it's moving. I think it's there's a possibility.
I've got Nathan's book somewhere. Where is it?
I certainly think it's static. I certainly don't believe we're moving. That's for sure.
No.
What shape it is, is something I don't know. No, I don't think any of us really know, or even what this realm is, why we're here, what it's actually for. But I certainly think if there is a creator, I don't think he, she, or it doesn't need any help with things like the nature. All this spraying that they do every day. It doesn't need that. It's the combination of the sun and the moon are the perfect balance: heat, cold, light, dark, and so on.
Well,
I think you're right with the moon.
The spraying is done by the Illuminati. I mean, it's designed to chemically alter the Earth's atmosphere. I mean, they're even admitting they want to do this. The government have even admitted a few months ago they want to do this, and they're doing experiments in geoengineering, which means they are literally using high altitude atmospheric aerosol spraying, which is designed to reflect sunlight back into space so the Earth cools down from climate change. Yeah.
Oh my God, climate change. My word, I've just had a laundry problem because you mentioned climate change. No. No. What's a load of... I was going to say baloney, but I didn't say because it's rude, you see. But it's a load of old, you see. But it's a load of old.
The thing is, it's these elite that about the
what's going on?
Climate change. I clear myself twice here.
Same here. Something's
am I doing it as well? I don't think I'm doing it. Yeah.
There's another. I think we're okay now. I think it's.
You sound okay now. Yeah.
Yeah. What happens is we had feedback from another feed, so somebody had another feed open. Sorry.
So the people who spout on about climate change, the parasitic elite or whatever it is, they tell us about climate change whilst travelling around in jets and private jets and cars,
yes,
and Land Rovers and the Royal Train. You get
oh yes,
fingers on a Royal Train with 2 locomotives and 20 carriages. I think, well, if you really give a shit about it that much, you'd get on a bus or something and travel around on that. You know what I mean?
Aren't they worried about climate change with a future war, though? Because, I mean, that's not very good for the planet, is it? All these tanks trundling around and explosives and people getting blown to bits and whatever. It's not nice. But Barefoot Foreigner said was driving through MK. What's that? Milton Cock-Up Ultra in Milton. Oh, I like that. The other day, after the Mycelium Network conference. Oh, that sounds interesting. Is it always
that's something to do with Milton mushrooms? Cock-Up? I'm guessing that's something to do with mushrooms.
Everybody went hi, and there's a lot of fun guys that go to that, isn't there?
You're in good form tonight, Chris.
Oh dear.
This sounds like Paul. Hello, Paul. Nathan Lucius take is that the roundabouts are for checkpoints for new Parliament. Well, I actually spent 50 years one Thursday afternoon in Milton Cock-Up trying to get out of the bleeding place, and I ended up going north and I needed to go from west to east. And I was driving along, I'm thinking, I've seen that pub about 10 minutes ago. And you think, this looks familiar. I went past it, and you're going all the way around these bleeding roundabouts. I hasten to add that was before the advent of SatNav. So, welcome, Paul English. Good evening, Paul.
Good evening, Paul.
Good evening, Eric, and good evening, Ben. Nice to hear you again, and good evening, Paul, as well. So I thought I'd lig for a little while and then come in and disrupt the kindly flow of your conversation. No, not really. It's good stuff.
Do you believe in portals? I mean, or have you got cream for your portals?
I like port.
Yes.
Is that the same thing? I do quite like port.
No, like a bit of port,
you mean portals between time and space? I think it's highly possible. Yeah, I think it's highly possible, if not probable. There's so much that we don't know. That's one thing that we do know, is that we don't know much. And I suspect it's going to go on like that for a long time. It's as if knowledge begats another bulk of knowledge. You go, oh, well, we couldn't join that bit up and figure that out. But now that we have, oh, whoops, there's even more. So it's like it is like a never-ending journey.
I suppose potentially if you had too much port, you could end up in a different world, I suppose.
It's a very nice world. It's a very, very nice world.
In the lavatory or something.
Welcome to Port World. It's delightful.
I cannot believe the thing about Milton Keynes, because someone actually said in chat that it's got a very dark energy. I have to agree. I mean, what's weird about Milton Keynes is that the roads match they line up with the solstices in the same way as monuments do. Yeah, it's really weird.
Really?
The main roads do, and also there's like up near the coast station they got this little stone circle, and it's not an original one. And I asked Maria Wheatley about this, and she's this expert. She's an expert on things like that. It's not an original one. It was recreated in the 80s. It's like a Neolithic stone circle, and I thought to myself, what's that doing there? She didn't know, and no one else seems to, it appears. But yeah, it's a creepy place. It's another place that's got dark.
Oh, it is. Oh, I don't like it. And I'll tell you another one. Harlow, which is just up the road to me. They've got a Zelinsky Avenue and a Mandela Avenue. And the council there is just slightly left, I would say, of Mount Zedong. Because as you drive in, you've got all these signs up saying, "We do not tolerate bad driving." And you got made to feel like some criminals who drive along the road.
Yeah.
Bad driving isn't an excuse. You know, and
surely if you're driving through Harlow, you want to be doing 100 miles an hour anyway to make sure no bastard takes your wheels off.
Did you say Mandela Avenue?
Yes.
I thought that was called Mandela Road.
Might be. Hang on.
I'm joking.
I'll look this up about Mandela Avenue.
I'm joking.
Yes, but no. You can imagine Zelinsky Avenue. I mean,
oh my goodness me!
Do they have Eric? Do they have a similar problem as they had in Los Angeles with the Bloods and the Crips? Do you have Mandelaists against Zelenskyites? Is there sort of?
It wouldn't surprise me. Harlow, if the world come to an end, they'd be the last to know about it. It's that sort of. It looks as if they had millions and millions of tons of cement delivered and they didn't know what to do with it, so they built Harlow. Everything is concrete here.
Well, who is it that designed Milton Keynes? Architectural practice, wasn't it? Dull, drab and tedious. They were the major partners that
I think
designed
they were.
it.
Manic depressive, I think.
So
I think it's a manic
I don't mind Milton Keynes as a place. It's not too bad. I can understand people getting lost there because you couldn't really describe...
Oh, Paul, I think that says a lot about you.
Hey, all I can say to you is I live in Telford, and in comparison, Milton Keynes is far better than Telford, I tell you.
So people in Telford dream about living in Milton Keynes. Okay, I'm getting
I wouldn't say dream about it.
Telford must be bad.
But of course, what's attached to Milton Keynes is Bletchley, which is the Bletchley Park.
Yeah, well, they decoded the Enigma code. That's right.
So maybe there's a bit of a hint there.
It's ironic, actually, because when they wanted to make a movie of it, they made a movie of it with old Benedict Cumberbatch, but they couldn't film it in the actual place because when the Enigma team were based there, it was like in the middle of it was a beautiful little town in the little village in the countryside, and now, of course, it's been swallowed up by this horrible modern metropolis of straight roads, roundabouts, and shopping centre full of candy floss and stuff like that. So they had to film it somewhere else.
Well, knowing the people in Milton Keynes, they probably had the wheels off the camera and all.
Is it the same sort of place? Like part of Milton Keynes comes with you, and it's usually something that you've trodden in on the like chewing gum or dog poo that you carry with you on the sole of your shoe. You know, I mean,
it's got this like. It's almost like some kind of temple. I mean, there's another place that's like Milton Keynes, and it's actually Canberra, which is the purpose-built capital of Australia, where my brother used to live, and I went to stay with him for a few weeks, and it's I mean, I love Australia. It's a lovely country, but Canberra is a nasty. It's all dripping concrete. It's a bureaucratic place. You see, it's built for politics, and anything that's purpose-built for politics is a bad thing. It's like the Portcullis House in London. Like in Portcullis House, that next to the Parliament, that's the extension. It looks like a bloody chimney. You can imagine them throwing like disabled people into ovens and burning them. You know.
Yeah.
It's like
that's the sort of place. Yeah.
Yeah, it's literally like something from Nazi Germany, and it with the big chimneys coming out the top. I mean, who designed that?
I know. It's just sort of brutalist architecture. Yeah. I can't stand the London city skyline now. I think it's horrible. And when you look at the skyline of London, say in the 1900s, it looked a lot better, even though they had smelly chimneys and soot all over the place and pollution because of all the chimneys. The architecture was spot on, But
I had some very good. Yeah. There was some very good news, by the way, Eric, over the weekend in the realm of architecture. Mm-hmm. I saw the little ticker tape on the BBC News. The sound wasn't on; it was just the ticker tape. It said, "World famous, internationally influential architect, aged 96, has died." And I went, "Oh, interesting." And it's a gentleman called Frank Gehry, Gehry. And I immediately suspected what I then went on to a search engine I've heard his name, right? Highly influential, it said. And if you can bear looking at his buildings, and I suggest you get a vomit bag. Yeah. I'm so glad he's dead. And you shouldn't say things like that. But he had a good innings, 96. Which is terrible for everybody. They obviously got the word wrong. It's not influential. It should have been flatulential. It's just what you would expect from this postmodernist, whatever they want to call it, right? It's just complete junk. He was of the same persuasion as the guy that designed that abomination up in London that they preserve.
Goldfinger.
Just go and look at this junk.
Emo Goldfinger.
He's literally.
Yeah, and I'm thinking we need to come up with famous buildings in the world that need to be set fire to.com and just start uploading them, because I'm being a bit savage, but I'll tell you, of all the things, these things I detest is not a strong enough word. There's got to be some other words in the English dictionary that I've not yet found to describe it. It's absolute repellent, pathetic crap. And, of course, it always has to be explained to you. If you notice, with all this modern art stuff, you have to have a big diatribe and a critic has to tell you that you're looking at all this space and this form and it means this and it means that. No, I can tell you what it means. It means nothing. My toilet bowl is more interesting than that. It's foul.
I've just Googled him. He's literally created buildings that look like they're falling apart and melting.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah. They're
ridiculous. Yeah. And of course, people can come up with all kind of pseudo-intellectual crap to describe these things, just like modern artists do when they present blank canvases with excrement smeared on them. Oh no! These are daubs of light, and this represents that, and this represents that.
Right.
And they sell them for like 50. They sell them for like 50
and look
grand.
At his house. See what his house looked like. It's like a concrete bunker. It's as if everything has got to be discussed. They design things that are so hideous that you have to discuss. You can't work out why anybody would do it. But I actually think it's to do with an almost 100% lack of talent.
Yeah. I agree with you. I mean, 100% agree with you.
They cannot envisage beauty. I mean, buildings are. I'm really puzzled by buildings. Somebody sent me something about the Iowa State Building. We were talking about it the other day, weren't we? And the Minnesota State Building, but the Iowa one near Des Moines or Des Moines, depending on how you pronounce it. You ought to look that building up. Because something doesn't add up. I went and looked it up, and I got a Wikipedia entry, and even that's shaky. It gave you the name of the architect, some French emigre into America, and another guy. It's to do with the town. There were 20,000 people living in this town. That's all told. So that means 10,000 males. How many of those are working above the age of 18? I don't know. 7,000? Yeah. Right? So they must have all been builders. This thing took 16 years to build, according to Wikipedia, and cost $375 million. How was it built? I mean, you know, Eric, you've mentioned before about St. Paul's as well. Not that I've been there recently. It's fantastic. He said, choking.
Yeah, Christopher Wren wasn't an architect.
You can go and see. Yeah, you can go and see Wren's drawings, can't you, and things like this. I mean, if you go, but this is 1870s, completed mid 1880s, according to Wikipedia. Somebody built it. Something built it. If you were spending that amount of money at that time in effectively the very early days of the modernization of America, there's still laying railroads all over the West, right? Okay. Wouldn't there be a book on it? I mean, they had newspapers, they had illustrators, they even had photographs. They were taking photographs of the U.S. Civil War, right? So it's after that. Where's the book? Where is the book that says, here's his photograph, these are the guys, this is how long it took. you would write a book on a building that's that magnificent. It's absolutely fantastic building. Yeah. I'm asking, maybe there's a really plausible answer and I'm just a bit wound up, but there's something doesn't sit right. You know, the amount of sweat it takes to put these things up with wooden scaffolding, right? And horses, that's all they got. They don't even have any steam-driven anything. They've got horses and scaffolding and pulleys, and you look at it and you go, are you kidding me? Seriously, who put that up? I mean, how long did St. Paul's take to build? It was a bloody long time, wasn't it?
Oh, it was. But Christopher Wren wasn't actually an architect, and when you look at the drawings, they weren't drawn by him because because what generally happens is a senior architect draws the sketches out, and then you get technicians that actually that actually draw the components and put it all together. And that's why when you look at the drawings of St. Paul's, they're done by other people, and it's a bit like racing drivers. You know, they get all the fame of driving the car, but they don't look at the technicians that built designed the racing car.
Well, they don't look at the technicians, Eric, because they're all called Brian and they're covered in Crest sandwiches and things, and they're all smoking pipes and tapping ash on each other's head and mucking about. Yes. No, they're great guys. They're true. I'm sorry, I've just sort of moved it off a bit, but I just thought it's something to celebrate the removal from this of Frank Gehry. I'm sorry, I don't give a crap what anybody thinks about him. The next question, though, with his buildings is who funded those? There's a whole. It's not just him. I'm picking on him, but there's just like you said about the drivers in the cars. There's a whole battalion of morons or attackers, cultural destroyers involved in these projects to put these pieces of hideous, demoralizing junk up in public spaces. And of course, this taps back into I think it's money. Part of the ethos of Milton Keynes, isn't it?
But it's money. That's the thing.
But they
it's a bit more than that, Eric. It is money.
Well, I don't know, but it's money. But it's not only. Sorry, Ben, carry on.
I was going to say it's cultural vandalism, and it's actually an attack on our morale and our sense of being. Now because after World War II, because of the Blitz, they essentially had large areas, lots of city centres were essentially blank slates. We were talking earlier about Birmingham. A lot of the and Coventry especially was devastated in the war. So they essentially had a blank slate to put up any kind of brutalist monstrosity they wanted. And this went beyond then, because like from the 1950s, they actually had a commission to demolish certain parts of traditional city centres. They did this in parts of Oxford. So lots of residential districts in Oxford were demolished from about 1948 onwards. St Ebbs was demolished and replaced with big housing estates around the outskirts of the city, like Blackburn, Leeds, Barton, and places like that. And they were doing this everywhere. And indeed, Bath. I mean, I've been to Bath, and it's the most beautiful place imaginable. That had a very narrow escape, I think on this, the city council voted I think it was 20 to 21. I mean, there was only a couple of votes in it, and that beautiful skyline, the beautiful architecture could have all been just swept away and replaced with probably something like this Gehry guy would build. And it's what it is because we were already spiritually vanquished by the war. I mean, I know that technically the Allies won the war, but there were no real winners in that war. I mean, the people were devastated, and we were browbeaten, we were destroyed, we were emotionally exhausted. The economy was in tatters, and so they said, well, this is our chance to go for a killing blow by just uprooting these people from their traditions and replacing it with something artificial, something synthetic and inorganic to really, really mess with them. And that's what they did. And I think this is all part of these architects.
They did this with Harlow. They actually moved streets of people from the East End and moved them into sort of almost the same next door to each other in these new shitty houses they got in Harlow. And the thing is, it is money because once upon a time, when you look at old drawings, people had time to think things through, smoke a pipe, and they were really artistic. You look at the old architectural drawings; they were artistic. We didn't have time to breathe. You had, and the old saying was, "You got to hit the deck running." So when you were designing something, you would be given 3 hours to design something, and if you couldn't do it, they get someone that can. So they call it ick slapping because you haven't got time to think it through. That's the problem. And admittedly, architecture is shit, yes. But what it is that the client, if he could get away with housing people in a cardboard box, they probably would. And that's it's money all the time. I mean, and that's what's gone into it. I mean, I worked.
I mean, it'd be interesting to know, don't you think? I know the East End of London received the biggest payload. Actually, I think it did. It certainly received a very heavy payload of bombs and destruction.
Yes.
And we mentioned Coventry as well. But it would be interesting to know how many houses were destroyed, because as you're talking, I'm thinking it can't be that many. It can't be as many as the stuff that they've put up. In other words, it was the causative reason. They then sell the story where we were devastated financially anyway, because Churchill had been given his instructions to destroy us economically, and he did a very, very good job of that. So all the wealth moved over to Wall Street. That was all part of it. And what Ben was saying about being spiritually vanquished is absolutely the case. Yet, many of the finer architects, I think about people like, say, Lutyens. I don't know if you're familiar with his house, right?
Yes, Lutyens,
houses.
yeah.
They're beautiful. Everybody wants to live in a house like that. Oh, you can't live in there. You've got to live in a box. No, you could. We could have. We could have still done that, I suspect. But it's part of this, what do they call it, postmodernist claptrap. It's really about the Sovietization, the Bolshevization of the entire landscape. And the things that are going up now are as bad. I mean, I think in Russia, they said, you're going to make the worst ones in the world so that you can play the role of the bogeyman. But in the meantime, we'll make the ones in the West just as bad, but only marginally better, so they feel they're in a kind of better house. But they're bloody awful.
I agree.
When you think about what people could be living in and how long they would stand, like 300-400 years, proper sort of stuff. Because we've got a lot of buildings to tear down. We've got a lot of buildings to tear down.
That building in Des Moines, for example, Paul.
Yeah.
I believe these were done by a different civilization altogether. Because if you look at, like, for example, that building in Des Moines, you look at St. Paul's, they follow pretty much the same design, if you like. And I don't believe for one second that they were created by our civilization. I mean, if as our history books tell us that the further you go back in history, the poorer people were, would you really be spending all that time and money putting gold on top of a building when presumably your citizens, I shouldn't use citizens because that means slaves, your people who live in these cities are basically living in squalor, but you're spending, and my understanding with the wars and all that has been to destroy the old world buildings, because they were used for energy and to heal us. I mean, I've said this before about the old buildings heal and provide an energy that helps heal us as people.
I agree with you.
They're beautiful. They're beautiful. We agree that they're beautiful. And when you're in the presence of beauty, your spirit is moving upward. You just like
it. I 100% agree with you.
I can't tell you why. It's not even an intellectual proposition. You go, I like to stand here as opposed to in that box over there that's made up. I mean, there's a guy, my son's been sending, I'll find his name for the next few days. I don't have it in front of me. There's an English guy going around London at the moment with a YouTube channel. He's very, very good. He's talking to you all the time as he's going through. And what he's doing is he's filming the modern architecture.
I know the bloke.
Honestly,
yes.
You need a vomit bag. You'll need a vomit bag as you watch it. He's brilliant.
I can't think of his name.
He was over at King's Cross the other day. He's
that's
just
it.
King's
that's
Cross,
it.
Right?
I've
Did you
seen
see
it?
And
yes.
He comes across this sculpture by one of the Rothschilds, one of the daughters, right? And it's pathetic. It's absolutely ludicrously pathetic. It's these tubes, these plastic tubes with colours. But you've got to go and read the placard with all the gobbledygook on, the mind control stuff, telling you what it represents. I'll tell you what it represents, mate. It represents junk, because it is junk. It doesn't do these things that they say. And it's always to create this discord. We're going to present you something hideous and tell you that it's beautiful.
Well, look at
it isn't.
Look at the railway stations in the same principle. I don't think, I've said this before on here, that I don't think a lot of the old world railway stations like St Pancras, like Prague Central Station, Frankfurt Central Station, I think the trains were put in there at a later point. These buildings were built for some other purpose, not for trains. Or maybe they did have trains many, many, many centuries ago, and they had these buildings as pretty much cathedrals for welcome to such and such city. And if you look at St Pancras is one, King's Cross is another. If you look at any of these beautiful stations, they are built in pretty much the same they're all pretty much the same. Like Prague Central Station is the same. It's got 2 big overall roofs, a massive tower, a bit like the top of St Paul's Cathedral, with a gold tip to it, a gold eagle on the top of it. And this is the same with Frankfurt's Bahnhof, the main central station in Frankfurt. Travel across to East Germany, Erfurt, places like that. Every main station in every city pretty much is a mirror image of another city. They're always magnificent structures that you think, well, was this built for the trains, or was it actually built for some other purpose?
Yeah, why can't we build something like that today? I mean, this is the thing. Like looking at the Iowa Capitol is like, I mean, it's people will be impressed and they'll feel happy, and they say, as you guys have said, you know, it generates energy, it generates positive energy. And what's more, it's in the long term, it's actually more economical to build buildings like that because they will last a hell of a lot longer. They will. Buildings like that will stand for centuries, whereas a lot of this steel and glass stuff, that's going to be gone in 50 years. It will just crumble in 50 years.
Well, look, quicker than that, because I worked, sorry, I didn't mean to cut in on you there, but I've actually worked on buildings that were going to be demolished, and they've only been up 15 years.
And, I mean, it's the temporary buildings, essentially.
Yeah, but what Paul was saying about the Blitz, what is overlooked is our anti-aircraft guns. You see, there was 2 types. The AK, which I've said sort of several times before, which you sent up a shell and you judged the height of the aircraft, and it exploded near the aircraft or on the aircraft, and it sent out fragments all over the place that would damage, you know, get into the engines and bring an aircraft down. But then Churchill ordered naval guns to be put into the East End, around the East End. And there's one still there apparently on the Isle of Dogs, although I haven't personally seen it. And what they did, you sent a shell up, and you needed radar to hit an aircraft. And if it missed, it would come down.
To get a direct hit, yeah.
And they reckon that more people were made homeless by our own anti-aircraft, by our own shells from these naval guns that were firing upwards than anything else. Apparently, it destroyed more buildings than the Luftwaffe.
Yeah, because everything misses, it's just going to come down.
That's right. Else, yeah. And they reckon the more people were killed and more buildings were damaged than the Luftwaffe could have ever dreamt of doing.
Yeah, and I mean the Soviet council estates are exactly the same as ours. Like, and because if you go to if you still pictures that are in Russia, with the ones that the Soviets built, a lot of Russians still live in these today, as a lot of British people do. These buildings, these like the classic British council estate, is not with the high rise tower blocks and the prefab houses and things. They were only meant to last 20 years. They were put up in. There was a massive building phase started in the late 1940s and went through the 1950s.
The Corbusier.
They were only meant to be there for 20 years. A lot of them are still there now, and people still live in them.
Yeah, but it was Le Corbusier that really started it off. You speak to most architects.
They destroyed, as I said, they destroyed traditional residential areas near the city centres to build these things, and they used the Blitz as an excuse. And what's more, in some parts of the world, like in parts of Eastern Europe, they are going back to traditional styles, and they've got buildings they put in places. I mean, Anurag was mentioning Prague, in Warsaw, and St. Petersburg, and places like this, and in other places, Bucharest and Budapest. They're putting up buildings now that really look like they're sort of like 16th, 17th century, but they're brand new. But they're built in the same style as those old ones. And I mean, there's no reason why we can't do the same. It's a complete myth that we can't build like that now. We can. We could. All we build now is shopping centres, and that's the only thing we have now.
No, they're functional. That's the thing. It's all functional.
And they won't last very long. Yeah,
that's right. But
I guess, Ben, when you say we, I think like the people here and many people listening, and then all the other skilled professionals, if you fan this conversation out, the caliber of individual absolutely exists to do that.
Yeah.
But we can't do it because there's another we called the government and other attendant forces that stop us solving our own problems. They say the only solutions you're allowed to have are the ones that we're going to give you for the greater good, or whatever piffle they come up with.
And planning.
This is the great it's the great frustration in every single area that you look at. You start reading documents from Britons written sort of 80, 100 years ago, and you go, oh, everybody's got their heads screwed on right. They know what to do, right? What's happened to that? What's happened is that we've been overthrown through those 2 world wars, and something else has seriously got in, this disease, and it's rotted out the brains of people who should be competent. I mean, look at the people that are communicating supposedly for us. The whole thing's a joke. I mean, but it's a planned joke, and we're the butt of it, unfortunately. But yeah, if they just get out of the way, you could design. I mean, you look at these older houses and you go, whoa, I just want to live in that. That's right. I mean, this is the result of hundreds of years of looking at how you design roofs and all these things. It's natural. It's the way our people build and design things, reflecting all our little peccadillos and quirks and foibles and eccentricities. And you go, that's exactly what I want. It's unique and it's distinct. So that's why everybody still bangs on about the Cotswolds. Of course they do, because we all want to live in a place like that. And we all could. Actually, if it weren't for someone 100%
agree with you.
Because there's no money. Of course there's money. It's just a joke.
Well, houses should be the price of a new car. You shouldn't be up to your neck in debt for years because of that. But I mean, I worked with architects who were bloody good, and they were frustrated because of restraints that they put on them. Because they couldn't be artistic because they didn't have time to be artistic at all. And this is the big problem. And what I mentioned earlier was Corbusier. Now, Corbusier was a mental case. I think he was either Belgium or French, and he was the first one that, Corbusier, yes, he was the one that built a city in the jungle in South America and said, everybody be going by car, and they have the highest amount of road pedestrian deaths of anywhere in the world because he didn't put any pavements down for people to walk anywhere. So people have to walk in the road. And this bloke was... Well, if you mention Corbusier to our architects, they almost wet themselves with excitement. Oh, Corbusier, it was marvellous. Oh, all this bullshit. Aesthetically pleasing. I mean, I told you the time that I got fired. Did I ever tell you the time I got instant dismissal? I think I have many times. Well, far away, and it's time to make a cup of tea if anybody's there. It was a sort of like January morning. It was bloody cold, miserable day. I don't know what it was, but I was usually sort of quite a placid person, I didn't really, and I acted out of my own personality on that morning. I don't know why. And I went into this meeting. I was called into a meeting, you see, and I was sitting there, and it's freezing cold outside. It might have been sleeting, and had a shitty journey in, and they had this people all sitting around a table, and it was a building in a London Wall that had to be refurbished. Now, this building was a typical 1960s building. They had a model maker there, and all it was, they could have gone down the supermarket and bought a box of cornflakes, pack of cornflakes, and that would have been the building. That would have been the model of the building. And this photographer, and they were, oh yes, we need the light going round here. And he's very effeminate. And I think we should be aesthetically pleasing if the light, and it's going on and on and on. I'm sitting there, pissed right off. And it was like a brainstorming session. Said, what do you think, Peter? I think we should all do this. And he came to me, what do you think? And I said, I think Blaster Bates would make a vast improvement with a lorry load of TNT. Get out!
Oh yeah,
that's contract, you see. I wouldn't have normally said that, but I don't know what it's something that pissed me right off. That was totally out of character for me to say that, but lucky for me, I went on to a better contract with a better rate, so I was all right.
I must have sensed it was the right thing to do. I mean, we're talking about architects. I mean, architects architects who want to do really, really good stuff. They want to build really, really good buildings. And of course, as you know, building a building is not just about designing one. You've got to get a planning permission. And of course, these things are all government controlled. Yes. Everything's got to be arranged through regulation. And we see, you mentioned a bit you wanted house prices to come down and be cheaper. Because if architects were set free, then they build better quality buildings that would need less maintenance, would last longer, and therefore would be cheaper. And
well, can I stop you there? Working in an architect's office, 9 times out of 10 is like the nearest thing to working in a mental institution. Seriously.
Oh, well, I read
This explains a lot, Eric. Now I'm beginning to get a little insight into your character. A bit more. Yeah. This is good.
Yeah,
I can say that now. But sorry, I didn't mean to cut across you.
No, just sorry. I read The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand, which is all about that. It's about architecture and architects' offices and things. It's a good book actually, but yeah,
it is. I read it. I read it some time back.
It's an interesting book, and it's and of course, like it would, and as we said, it would create positive energy. Maybe how these original, I mean, what Anrak was saying about the original culture that built these things. This is what they intended, and we could have that back. And the reason we don't, of course, is as we've said, is because the government are controlling everything. They want us to be demoralised. They want us to suffer. They want us miserable.
I agree with you.
Yeah,
I was watching. Well, we've had some new buildings put up in my time where we are, and I think they're trying to remove the skills that are involved in it as well. Because, I mean, years ago, if somebody said to you, "You're a bricklayer," you put some cement down, you put some bricks on it, put some cement, put some bricks on it. I was at Stafford Station the one day, and they've just built a college at the Crewe end of Stafford Station. And I stood there watching, I could hear tap, 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 clonk. Oh, what the hell is that? And it was literally some blokes on a cherry picker on the outside of the building knocking some bricks onto, effectively, they were like stickle bricks. Remember stickle bricks? They're basically like, then they're just knocking them in with a mallet. You think, did you actually go to college and learn about bricklaying to do that? Did you ever think that you'd just be attaching it to a piece of wire and you think how the skills and the ability to build amazing buildings is completely lost in that respect, because you think, well,
I agree with you.
Is that what we've got to? We've got brickies who are just basically hammering bricks onto a piece of metal.
And you know what's going to happen, don't you? You know what's going to happen. One of these piles is going to collapse, and there's going to be people inside, and there's going to be deaths.
Yeah,
we know that's going to happen.
Yes.
It's bound.
It's bound to happen. But the problem is, I believe in strict building regulations. Yes, we need strict building regulations because it's surprising what people try and get away with. But when it comes to planning, we should make a very nice bonfire and burn the bloody planning rules, because quite honestly, it varies from one area to another, and it's got a mind of its own, and it stifles creativity. And planning rules and regulations are awful. Yeah.
Where were we didn't have building regulations when St Paul's was built, and when this place in Des Moines was built, for example. There's no building. Maybe there were building regulations.
Yes, but you know when it came in when they built terrace property. And there was a fire in one property, and it spread right the way through to all the properties. And then that was in, I think, the 18th century. They then started the building regulations where you needed a fire break between each property, which I agree with. You need, and in the Netherlands, the walls go up above the roofs to stop the lick of a flame going over to the next property. That's why I believe in strict building regulations, but they privatise the building regulations now, and I think it's only a question of time before we will have buildings falling down, because it's all, again, it's money, money, money. Once upon a time, the building officer would be an ex-builder who would come along, and he knew his stuff, he knew all the tricks of the trade, he knew when people are trying to get away with things and that, and if you butted him in upright, he would give you advice which would save money, and they were good blokes. Now that's all gone. We have people straight out of university that's never stepped foot on a building site, and they come along, yes, that's tick boxes and walk away. And I think we have got a disaster. We're like this, and it's a disaster waiting to happen.
Well, look at Grenfell Tower. I mean, this was when it did happen. Yeah, this is when it did happen, and it'll happen again. It'll happen again. Yeah. And I mean, it
will.
It's really sad, you know. It's really sad that people that we live in this kind of like world where these regulations, I think, are designed to destroy us, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I know I keep coming back to this often as a taproot to the whole thing, but because of the financial system and the way that it is intentionally malfunctions for our benefit by design, you know, if you were an alien. I don't mean an illegal alien. If you were flying around in your spaceship and you were looking down, say, at England or Europe, northern Western Europe, and you see these big epicenters of activity called cities, you could easily liken them to the biological destruction wrought on the human body by cancer. Cancer sucks all the life out of the surrounding cells, effectively drawing power to it all the time, and in the end, it kills the very thing that it actually started off in. That's, if left unchecked. Everything that we're talking, the quality of buildings, the quality of behavior in cities, every single thing comes down to, or certainly has an overlap, because people are driven to make profit. It reduces the standards and quality of real wealth. Real wealth would be in living in beautiful houses, and not just me. I want my neighbours to live in them, so that when I go for a walk, I walk past beautiful houses and I see happy people in there because they've got. We know what people need. They do need a garden. They need space. We don't need much more. We're not greedy for tons of stuff, but there is a basic thing below which we don't want to drop because it actually creates a pointless, bogus sort of misery that's totally avoidable. And the frustration, of course, is that we know how to avoid it. And we look back, or you go and look at the Cotswolds and you go, like this, or all over England, yes, please, but with local building materials, just get on with it. We've got a lot of things to get rid of. But then the money men step in, you can't afford this. No, we can't afford you. You're the problem. It's you that we can't afford.
Well, they can spend money on what they want to. But that might explain why 3i Atlas is avoiding us. because it looks down and sees our cities.
That's it. Now, Barefoot Forager said in the UK, in the 50s, we spent a third of our income on food and 9% on housing. Now that's flipped. But it's okay because the housing is so much better, she's saying this sarcastically, and we've got access to chemical-free food. And Alice Gorgeous has asked, Ben, what is your area of expertise, UFOs?
Well, I'm kind of a jack of all trades, but I'm very into UFOs.
This is what Barefoot Forager says.
Into very things. But you know what, I was going to say, I was going to say something. It's gone now. I was going to say.
That's okay. I'm terribly sorry. I might have put you off there. But Ben is a polymath. I think you know Barefoot Forager, don't you?
Yes, she's come up before in this chat.
Yes, it's probably.
I recognise this name. Yeah.
Easier to ask Ben. We
must all chip in and buy Barefoot Forager a pair of shoes.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's distressing.
Amazed he hasn't been bumped off. Ben, have you been bumped off yet? I don't think you have. No, I think you're still here.
Not to my knowledge. I think I'm still here. Yeah, Chris is fading. He's phasing out again.
Oh, Chris? Have you entered the portal there, Chris? Because you seem to be on the. You seem to be in this.
I'm still here.
Oh, you're deflating.
Am I all right? Here we go. I'm deflating.
Just gone through a time warp. Black hole, I think that was.
Well, yes, black holes.
We need to do.
We don't go there, now, what is this? Exo's come up with an interesting one. Rockefeller-backed Calvinism in concrete. That's a line and a half.
That's a good one, yeah.
Yes.
That's a good one.
Yes. There's no character in modern. This is Mark Anderson. Hello, Mark. There's no character in modern architecture. It's mainly bland and boring square boxes. And,
I was going to say,
yeah. I mean, I've worked on enough square boxes, but mine was industrial and commercial, and quite honestly, it's unbelievable some of the projects I worked on. Designed. If you go to Lower Thames Street and look up at the Pyramid Building, yours truly designed the top 3 floors. Yeah, don't bother to look up. It's not worth it. Yeah, not a pretty sight. Yeah. And of course, things I'm not very good with heights, so I was given the top 3 floors to design. But most of the time, as I say, it's all time, because time is money, and the design period is an overhead. So they try and cut the overhead as short as possible. So you didn't have time to think things through. So it's easy to blame the architects, but there's just not enough time. You were strained all the time. It's money. That was the problem.
Well, I think I mentioned this on the last one, not necessarily about architecture, but buildings in general, like the old power stations. The old with the cooling towers. The cooling towers were quite beautiful things to look at. And over the last sort of 5 or 6 years, our government, should we say, have been very urgently removing these power stations from our landscape. So we've lost Iron Bridge went, Rugeley went, Fiddler's Ferry's gone. And I've been asking myself a question on this, and I've asked a few people, where would be our nearest power station right now? I'm in the Midlands.
Didcot, yeah. The one I raised is Didcot. Now Didcot used to have two. It was Didcot A and Didcot B that had like three of these cooling towers around it, and in the very flat landscape of South Oxfordshire, they stood out. They were landmarks. What happens is they converted those power stations from coal to gas, which basically means they completely knocked them down and rebuilt them as gas-fired power stations. No doubt increasing our heating bills enormously. All our energy bills have shot up since they did that. And the gas fires don't have those cooling towers. What they have is a row. They have like a little, very small, low building with these little funnel things on top of them, and that's what it looks like now. Very, very boring.
Well, there's very few power stations about now, though, given how much apparently our country's increasing by using the use of electricity. But the amount of power stations we've got is pretty much, well, it's a minimal amount now. I mean, as I say, where Didcot Power Station used to be, from there, I wouldn't like to say where our next one is.
Well, they're replacing them. They're replacing them with these bloody wind turbines, aren't they? And and massive fields of solar panels, which are going to break down as soon as the wind gets above force 8. They all break down, and as soon as it's cloudy for a few days, again the solar panels shut down. So it's deindustrializing us. So Sandy Adams has talked about this. How the whole thing, it's designed to fail. It's an electricity grid that's designed to fail, and you're going to get like mass power cuts in a few years. And there's even
I agree with you.
You know,
it's intentional.
It's totally intentional.
I mean, we're talking here in part from a context of we can operate independently as a nation and rebuild it. And this is true, left uninterfered with. But I suspect, more than suspect, this is an aspect of creating interdependence between the nations of Western Europe and other nations as well. But in our case, that's the most important one. So we have to get our electricity from France. Why? Because if you say you're going to send the migrants back, they'll cut your electricity off. It's all about bargaining chips. So they've been intentionally created. If you have a nation that's independently strong and doesn't have to listen to anyone else, like we used to be, like most nations used to be, then they can't actually twist your arm on the international markets. Oh, we're going to cut your gas off. We've got to get gas from this country. They sort of celebrate this. We've just got a new gas deal from Russia or whatever bilge they're talking about. No one talks about the actual story that needs to be told, which is we don't need that. We've got 800 years worth of coal supplies in the ground. I'm sure we can come up with the technology to reduce the crap coming out of the stack considerably. I know that that's already been done.
We did. It was done. They had scrubbers doing it. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
It's all been achieved. You're saying, the engineers over here don't come up with everything. Yeah, they do. They've come up with probably a solution to everything. It's just that you don't get to know about it. It just goes off into some bin or some back office, and some government spokesman tells you that we've got to buy it from there, which is part of this globalist design. You make all the nations interdependent on one another, then they're all controllable, because it's like in a big domino thing. We're just going to pull this bit out of your chain of supply, and you're stuffed, mate. So don't you start thinking about having your own thoughts about how you want to manage your nation, because you're going to have these shitty boxy houses up, because that's what we want for you, because we want you all demoralized and pleb-like, And
we've actually seen it happen, haven't we? We've seen it happen. We've seen this is it's absolutely true. I mean, it hasn't worked, luckily, for against Russia, but it certainly harmed Germany, which is the destruction of the Nord Stream pipelines. This is exactly what we're talking about. It's because Germany would become so dependent on Russian imported gas that of course is also very, very important to the Russian economy. That when the globalists wanted to attack Russia, they blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. Right. It was early December. It was just when winter was starting, and winter in Germany is a lot colder than it is here. And as a result, this this damaged the Russian economy as it's intended to do. Of course, lots of people, the Germans, all suffered as well, because they suddenly their heating bills had doubled, and I'm sure a lot of people died actually as a result of that. But this is exactly what now. If indeed, like you said, if they were mining their own coal, if Germany was bringing up its own gas, or if it was using other energy sources, the kinds that are banned, this wouldn't happen. This is exactly why the globalists have modelled the world the way you say.
Yeah,
it's exactly
all by design. Do you remember there was a guy called Stephen Covington, if I can remember his name. He had a book out in the 90s called Interdependence, selling it as a great idea. It's complete hokum. It's to create enslavement, interdependence. What's that kind of a word? It's complete nonsense. It's either independence or teamwork. There's not a hybrid, but all their stuff is a hybrid. Oh, we're all going to be happy. No. And when they say we, they mean them as the controlling ruling elite, the management system that we never voted into power. We don't want any of this stuff. So now we get down to the communications challenge, which is we've got a lot of truth in this conversation. We're not the only one. It's all over the place. We can't apply it. That's the frustration. We can't apply it. Like we were talking about food the other week, Eric, with Mark. All of these things, if you look at how our people have behaved up until really the 20th century with the wars, which was like a big, let's wipe all this sort of British Empire stuff out. And, I'm not an empire guy because I don't think it existed anyway. We were still being treated like slaves, but in a different way back then. But at least we were under our own steam, and steam is kind of synonymous with the empire, the Industrial Revolution. We were. This is why we have, I think, many of these things that we hark back to. It's not just the technology that is warming our hearts. It's that it's symbolic of and an actual representation of how we used to live under our own decision making. And this is when you take that away from people, you take people away from life. They say, well, we're going to protect you. And I'm going, but I never invited you to protect me. It's a protection racket. All of this is a massive, extended, multi-level protection racket. Oh, the National Health's going to protect you with a shot in your arm. Well, I don't want it, right? But you'll die. Fine, I'm going to die then. Bugger off. I don't want you telling me what to do. If you're living your own life, is not one of the great challenges of life, which you've got to have, to learn from your own mistakes. You can't learn and grow if they're saying, we're going to make sure you don't ever make any mistakes. We're going to protect you against everything. What, everything? Who protects us against you then? It's a complete, it's part of this psychological bewilderment program, which they're very good at. But it requires sort of simple, plain speaking with blokes in flat caps. And going back to Dibner, which you've quoted before, men in boiler suits built this country and men in suits destroyed it. And that's true.
That's true.
And I think the German army summed up Britain in the First World War. Lions led by donkeys.
Yeah, exactly.
Lions led by donkeys.
I think you could say it about nearly all people, Eric. They might not use lion or whatever, but if you look at the plight of peasants, of our class of people in Germany, France, here, Spain, anywhere, we've all had to suffer and endure the great and the good, reorganizing our lives, always for their betterment, while being lied to through the press that the nation's great. You're in the British Empire. Yeah, well, why is my wife half naked down a bloody coal pit in Nottingham in 1850 then? What's that all about? I don't seem to have benefited much from this bloody great empire crap that you're talking about. You're doing all right in your fine suits, going around your horses, going to the opera in London, but we're living in shit here. And, and then they used that, did they not, as a fermenting ground to create communism and all this other stuff. Now we've divided them. Now let's rile the peasants up with a completely bogus ideology, equality, liberty, all that shit in the French Revolution. Where did that get them? Nowhere. Lots of heads rolling in the streets because it's a bit of a challenge, this one.
As I've often said, we need government like an elephant needs a hang glider. Seriously.
Yes, exactly.
Or someone with severe diarrhea needs laxatives. No. When
you're thinking of me.
Well, you never know, but no. But I mean, what I was going to say is that when you look at more people have been killed by their own governments than all the wars put together. They're lethal, absolutely lethal. And what do we need them? When you look at the sort of people that are in government, I wouldn't trust them as far. I wouldn't trust them to run a blatant Wilkes stall, let alone.
How do we get rid of them, Eric?
Ignore them. I mean, if we ignore them en masse, it needs mass ignoring. We don't need them.
We don't
want them. We've got to first realise who they are. The first step is to understand that when they say that we're doing this for your own good, we want to protect you. And as Paul was saying, that in itself is pathological because we're adults, not children. When we realise they actually don't want to protect us and they don't have our best interests at heart, and they're actually waging war against us, and all these reforms like the interdependence and things like that is just one more means of waging this war. That's once. I don't know what the solution is, but I know that once enough people are aware of it, once we hit that the 100th monkey will be struck, and solutions will come. I think you need a lot of patience in this business, and there's certain things I can't say for legal reasons, because I could end up in jail if I was too frank here. But the time will come, and justice will be done in its own way, I think.
Well, I think that it needs to be done you see, the thing is, if it's got to be done peacefully, because all the government thinks of is violence. They have their henchmen.
We can't beat them with violence, because things when it comes to violence,
they are brilliant at it. They're out with us. We got to use this and outthink them.
Yeah,
we got to use our brain.
And they say you can't fight them on their level because they're too good at it.
You can't. You see, the thing, when you look at the mafia and the government, there's no difference. The only difference is that the mafia will hurt you physically when you don't pay them, and the government will hurt you psychologically. When you
the mafia are more honest. They're
more honest, yeah.
I mean, I would suggest that they're actually part of the same system by design. Maybe masonry is a conduit for that. So there's that thing, as above, so below. If they take this, which is true, by the way, in esoteric and actual truthful teachings when you perceive it, but they control the courts, and you need a steady supply of crime, don't you, to keep your courts busy. I'm sure that they're joined at the hip. They control both sides of it. They absolutely control both sides of it. There's only certain sorts of criminals are dealt with really heavily because they're not part of the organized crime that they feed off financially. It goes back, the bent copper. That's another one to put in front of the public, but there's something bent way, way bigger that above the copper. I know there are bent coppers, right? It's always happened. But there's a system is bent. So you've got Masons, probably, half of the mafia might be Masons, for all we know. Yeah, now, your role, Luigi, you're going to go around the streets and threaten people, and we'll have these big things in the media. Oh, don't worry, Bobby controls the media, right? So it'll look bad, but don't worry, because back at the lodge, you're going to get let off. Okay, but we'll do this big drama for the public, and they'll all get scared. That's exactly what we want, and they'll all run around like chickens. And while they're doing that, we're picking their pockets, and then we'll divvy it up. And you might be locked up for 18 months, but don't worry, it'll be a really nice prison. And blah blah blah. I'm just making this shit up, but what I'm saying is that that kind of theme seems to me to be highly possible, more than possible, in terms of the way that they're structuring the story that they put into our heads. And I think the great challenge for us, certainly one of them, is to not be thoughtless and is to become ever more thoughtful. Thinking,
I 100%
really
agree.
Thinking clearly is a great challenge every day.
That's right. Use our minds, and also think on a positive, because their job is to make us negative, and like attracts like. If we're positive, I mean, just simply look at life when we were kids. You'd have a baker come along, he'd be whistling a happy tune. How many times do you hear people whistling a happy tune now? Never.
They'd be arrested if they were, because they'd say that's racist. Because
that's right.
It's racist. They'd be arrested.
And my Barefoot Forager's come out with a beauty here. She said, my friend is a forensic psychologist, criminal minds, used to work in a maximum security prison. 13 years ago, she told me 90% of politicians are psychopaths. I'd say it's a higher number. I laughed. Now I realise it's not funny. I agree with her.
Yeah.
Well, hey guys, I'm going to have to go now, but it's good to talk to you all. Anorak, Paul.
And
Ben, it's great.
Open the window.
I love it when you're on, Ben. You've got to get on more often. It's great.
I'd love to.
Mate, please, I'll send you so you can't get out of it. No, I'll send you another, what do you call it? Guest list. Please come on sooner, because you're always most welcome on here, because the show is always absolutely bloody fantastic when you're on here. So thanks, mate.
I really enjoyed it. Thanks everyone for watching.
Thank you, Ben.
See you, Ben.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, mate. Bye-bye. So that just leaves me on the screen with Fred the Plant
and Jeremy Irons.
Jeremy Irons, yes, here he is, Jeremy the Irons. I like that one. Oh, that's a classic, Jeremy Irons.
Going back to what you were saying, Chris, and I'm sorry, Chris, Paul, you were saying about the mafia. Well, the belief is that the mafia is linked to the Vatican, and that they are basically criminals working for the Vatican, and that's where the mafia begin their origins from. In that they started their criminal activities in parts of America like New York and so on. And I think it's fair to say that a lot of them are linked back to Freemasonry, and all these clubs are all part of the same. They're all part of the same.
It's a minority
network at the end of the day.
You see, you're right. But it's a minority of people. What gets me is people say, "Oh, you're this is that is." No, psychopaths are in every culture and religion. There are a small percentage, and an even smaller percentage are the ones that are predatory ones that destroy us. Not all psychopaths are the same. Some of them are very nice people. There's a scientist who admits he's a psychopath because he's had a brain scan and everything else, and he's a right comedian. Now, there are surgeons that are psychopaths, so it's wrong to mark them with the predatory psychopaths who are out to kill humans. They're a different breed. And as I've said many times, the worst thing you can do is come down to their level. The best thing is to just put them on an island, which has got all the infrastructure for life and things like that, but keep them away from us. They're dangerous. That's it. Just people, like these politicians, they can go. And I'm sure that ordinary folk can work things out for themselves far better. And a perfect example is the Amish. Look at the Amish. Do they have leaders? And as Patrick said, they have elders. Now, I don't know anything about the Amish, but from the outside, I might be talking complete bullshit. I don't know, but they seem quite happy people. I'm making a very broad look from the outside. They might not be, and I think what bonds them together is a belief in religion. And that's what bonds most countries together, a belief in something beyond our lives. Since they've eroded that, everything's going to pot. I just wonder what your feelings are about that.
Well, Solzhenitsyn said about the Russians, didn't he, when they were in a lot of trouble? One of his observations was, the trouble is, he said, we've forgotten God. And I know that sounds a bit strange. What, we're all supposed to go to church and everything? Well, it's better. If that's the least worst it would ever get, even I'd be for it, right? But there's a problem even with those. It all depends what you sort of... But there's something... It's not just a sort of an academic observation. If you don't, in my view, if you don't have a conviction in the creative force that put this all together... earlier on in the show, you were talking, weren't you, about there being a creator and did he know what he was doing and how do we work all this kind of stuff off? It's about having a spirit, I think, of questioning with an innocent heart, like a child. I'm quite serious about this. That when you lose that, if you ever lose your childlike fascination with things, and I'm going to suggest that we've all still got it, it's a very important animating force. If you lose that, you sort of die. A part of you dies inside. And you become a person that's literally a materialist. We're dealing with people that have rejected that on some level, it seems to me. And once you've rejected that, then you can do whatever you want, right? That's what Crowley said. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Of course, he died of syphilis in Hastings.
Did he?
And he deserved it.
I know syphilis. That's nothing to clap about, is it? Sorry.
No, it's nothing to clap about at all. But I would have done. So there are people that go down a path that's very dark, and other fellow journeyers go down that path with them, and they form these societies, don't they? Or they seem to have done that. And there's nothing new with this. Everybody, wherever power is around, it attracts a certain sort of human animal to it. And there are still good people in those spaces, but it seems to be that all civilizational efforts ultimately succumb to this kind of virus that's built into the human relations system. And if you look at Rome and what happened there, they got so much power they all go mad with it. The same thing happened with, I think it's Attila the Hun. He goes off, he's conquering everywhere, kicking 10 bells out of everybody, but back at court, so much power's building up, they all started fighting. They all, like rats in a sack, killed themselves. It's as if nature says, I'm not going to allow this to mature to such a point. It will just naturally cave in on itself. And unfortunately, it tends to do that. I don't think it has to be that way. I think there's a much more balanced way to go forward. I think there'll always be challenges. There will be criminal people get born. They don't know that they're criminals, when they've only been alive a day, but certain paths, certain lives go down certain paths, and it produces them, or always has up to this point, to the best of my observations. So, learning to deal with it is a challenge. It's a challenge.
Is it the world that's around them that causes them to become criminals, though, in the respect that obviously we live in a world at the moment where, I don't know, Fred down the road's got a Ferrari and the person who lives next door to him's got a little tiny Ford Fiesta. Mm-hmm. And the person with the Ford Fiesta sees that Ferrari and thinks, well, I really want that. Well, that then causes the criminal effect to think, well, I'm going to go and steal that Ferrari because I want it. Whereas if we didn't have this system where somebody has to have something better than somebody else, if we're all equal, the criminal.
Well, we're not going to achieve that. I think. My view, nature abhors equality because I'm not aware of it ever having existed. It just doesn't exist. The pursuit of it is insane. It's not witnessable anywhere in nature. Nothing is equal to anything else. Never has been, never will be. In fact, I state, this is my law, Paul's law, one of them, this entire place is built on the permanent absence of equality. It's one of the laws. It's never, ever here. It's always about differentiation because without it, you can't detect good from bad. And, we get back into this esoteric stuff. Light comes out of darkness. You are going to have it. I think what we're addressing is to reduce it, or our frustration, or certainly mine, is to have some sort of coherent way of pushing it back. And we've got a lot of examples in recent history where for short periods of time we were able to do it. I also think as a people, I'm talking about the English here, or the people of these islands, because this is the history that I got given by being born here. We've got things like Magna Carta, which I know David Lammy, that great Englishman, has just decided that there's going to be no more trial by jury, and he can decide whatever he likes. The fact is that he can't do that on one level because Magna Carta is in perpetuity. It was decided so because it's a proven law, right? It works. However, because people are unaware in the main of Magna Carta, probably not people here, right? But outside of these sorts of conversations, it's not well known. People don't know how it applies and what it really means or the history of it. If you've got all this treasure, but you keep it in the back office and you never go in there, you actually haven't got any treasure because it's got to be used. You've got to use it. And we don't use it. We've actually got probably more tools available to us if we can get the dust off our own brains and look at what our forefathers left us, the good stuff, and reapply it to try and deal with these things. But of course, we're in a kind of progressively diseased state. I'm not trying to be a downer about this. It's just my observations. You might not agree, but that's what it looks like, that we're dealing with an enemy that has systematically over centuries, if not millennia, worked continually, almost like as a behavioral condition that they have to undermine anything that we build. Yeah. And we want to build, we're a building people. I think architecture is a really good analogy because we like to build stuff that works.
But I tell you something
stuff that don't
that's
work.
Right. And I'll tell you something else that's destroyed us. Now, first of all, Baby with a Laser says virtually everything people believe and think is a product of TV, straight media, I agree. Full English, 3 square meals. Yes, because we only used to eat 1 or 2 meals a day, one time. Cereal for breakfast, etc. All constructs of TV and the industrial complex. But somebody else, Kinsey. Now, Kinsey was a sex maniac in the 1950s that made it look that people were doing the most kinkiest things. And he was proven to be insane, this man. And he rigged all the results to make it look as if his kinky view of the world was true. And people are still using Kinsey's data that's been proven to be part of the figment of his imagination. They're still using it. And the man was a complete sex maniac. And he used to make, this was long before video, but this is in the 50s. He used to make films of his students having sex in his loft. And he said it's for research property reasons. No, it's because he's a dirty old bastard, that's why. And he was mental. There's no ifs and buts about it. But why are they still using the data? And that's where the permissive society came from. Kinsey's data. So have you heard of Kinsey? Anybody at all? You know of him?
Yeah, it's the Kinsey report.
That's right. Yes.
Sexual habits of Americans.
That's it. And he made it look as if all Americans are having an affair with their dog or something. You know, it was just sick. The man.
Are they?
I don't think I'll be googling that one if I'm honest with you, Chris.
Well, my neighbour's dog fancies my leg, and my leg has had to go to rape counselling because of it. You know, I mean, he's a poor leg. It's really gone through it. You know,
it's taken you 3 weeks.
Get off, Rover.
It's taken you 3 weeks to get to that point, though.
Yeah. so well, it's sort of.
You've got to put me your dog again.
Get off, Fido. Get off. You know? Have you seen that Dutch advert? Oh, it was years ago, and it was on one of these programs. It's when I had a telly. They showed you funny adverts, and it was advertising dog food. And you see this bloke, he said, "Oh dear," he said, "I bought this dog food," and you can see his jacket going up and down like this, and the doggy is on my leg. Suddenly he drops the dog food. It goes, arr, arr. He said, "Oh dear, I've dropped the packet." You know? It's a weird advert, but it made me laugh anyway. You know. But
I've got to be honest. I don't miss TV. I must be honest with all the crap that used to be on it.
I don't. I haven't had a TV for 15 years. I think.
I was watching some adverts the other day on something, and I decided to play the role. I'm play acting with myself in the room because I'm not well. That I was going to buy everything that I saw on TV. So as they're coming on, I go, I want that. I was just sort of playing as if I was the ultimate consumer. I want that. I want the curtains that's in that advert. It's sort of like revert, go completely over the top. I need all this stuff. And it strikes you how completely bonkers the whole thing is. There's an absolute glut on YouTube now, because it's the only thing I stick on the TV if I want to watch these videos, like of that guy going around London and stuff. They're inserting more and more advertising in to YouTube. It's always the same with every technology that we create. Everything, it starts off brilliant. It's clean as a whistle. It's an open field. You get all this creativity. As it matures and commercial interests step in, they begin to chip away here, chip away there. So if you, for example, subscribe to Amazon, and I do, because I buy so much stuff, it's worth it to me. Well, books. I buy a lot of books, right? So books are rocking up here once or twice a week, all the time, and my sons use it as well because they're on the same account. So we get stuff fast, and it works. It's like £9 a month, and for me, it's a good £9. I won't spend it elsewhere, but this works. It's better than the BBC TV license, right? They're just cramming adverts in there for cleaning products at the moment. And in all the adverts, all the people doing the cleaning are blokes.
Yeah.
It's just, and you're just going, oh, yeah, well, not really. I'm not surprised. You just look at all this stuff. They've currently got an ad running as well for an upcoming series on Sky for Mozart. You remember Mozart? You might
Mozart,
remember
no, he died a bit before I was born, actually. But he
died a bit before he should have done. He was only about 35 when he pegged it, which is not too good,
Born in 1756.
Yeah, do you remember that? Yeah. There was a film based on that play.
Amadeus.
Amadeus? Well, I don't know about that. But Amadeus by Peter Shaffer, which basically takes friction between Mozart and Salieri, the court composer, which did exist, but really ramps it up, as if they were going to kill one another and all this kind of stuff, which is a bit over the top. However, they've put it into a series now, or they're about to launch it. Anyway, the actor playing Mozart is not exactly Western European. I mean, he's got an English name, but he I didn't remember many English people looking like that when I was young. There's that. And then some of the scenes of the court, they've got Indians in there from the East and stuff like this. And I'm looking at this stuff, I'm going, what is the point? What is the point of you doing any of this? And I thought, I know what the point is. It's to demoralize people like me. What it does is it tends to fire me up. But then I'm not allowed to talk about it because it's prison time if you have an opinion. That's what's taking place.
You must have an opinion. You're not allowed to have an opinion. And
opinions are being criminalized.
It is. And all this political correctness, it crept in after about the 1990s when the Berlin Wall came down. It's after that, Berlin Wall came down, things started to change dramatically. And it was quite disturbing how it did change very, very quickly. I mean, I worked in an office where We had a German. This sounds like the beginning of a joke. Irish, German, Israeli bloke who didn't like Israel. Loads, and we used to laugh and joke. And that was the time when Hello Hello was on the television. The German fella loved it. He had a cracking sense of humour. And we used to go up to him, say, I have the drawings from the heating and ventilating engineer. I'll say this only once. And we used to be goosed up around the office for a laugh. And we all were bent double with laughter. And we used to take it in turns to go over to the bacon shop to buy a bacon sarnies lunchtime, you see. And the Israeli bloke used to go over there as well. He used to like the bacon sandwich as well. And we were just, nothing was off limits. And this German fellow went for a weekend back home to Germany. When he came back, he had this terrible backache. And so I think it's the Irish bloke who said, "Oh, it's all that bloody goose stepping. That's what's done it." I mean, he absolutely rolled up, and we say, "So where are the drawings for such and such?" I think, "Oh, they're over there and about that high," that sort of stuff. And then a Canadian bloke came in who was very politically correct. "Oh, you're being this, and it literally stopped overnight. That laughter stopped immediately.
It's interesting you mentioned that. Yeah, I think that's a really salient, because the ability to be teased and not take it personally or to ride with it is a quality of high civilized intercourse, dialogue. Yeah. It is, if you think about how you probably grew up, I'm just guessing, the English and the Scots and everything, it's about ribbing one another, isn't it?
Yes, right. Okay. We used to rib each other, yeah.
And the minute you've got a precious sourpuss in there, right, you have to get rid of them. They're dead. They're like a black hole in the whole space. Everything's serious. And I think we can say quite easily that the left, just to use this thing, in a way it's kind of meaningless, but the people that are disposed towards the modern version of liberalism and that we're all going to love one another are almost, to a woman, humorless. Yeah. They do not have an evolved humor because they think it's offensive. They find everything offensive, and yet humor is based on being offensive and being able to take it and then fence back a bit, and it's great. And you get more creative in your language, more subtle in your insults. Then it gets really funny, particularly when people are very clever at insulting other people. We all enjoy it, even the person being insulted.
But the thing is, we know
I love it. It's great.
I know, but it's adult to know how far to go, because if it generally upsets somebody, you apologise, and that's it.
And then you kick them out.
And then you kick them out. I mean, this Canadian bloke accused me of everything in the book. He almost threw the book at me, and other people as well. And you're this. I said, yeah. I'm a nasty person, and all that. And he was saying this to loads of people, but people would then say, "Oh, I better not say that because he's over there." What power that Canadian holds, because he's being po-faced, and didn't have a sense of humour. That's basically it. It ruined it. It really did.
It must be really bad for these people when they get offended by having a laugh. I mean, at the end of the day, laughing is one of the best medicines out there, and one of the best things for.
It's also a sign of affection, don't you think, between people?
It makes you feel good, even if you're taking the piss out of someone. It does make you feel good.
But DJ B2 said, "Just made my modern art creation for the day. It's now floating down the sewer."
Well, I'm looking forward to the notes on it. I want to read all the notes about what it represents and all that. Well,
I remember that we used to get, was it the Architects Journal, and when you're in there, they showed you this exhibition, and there was a fellow who had quite a sense of humour, and in this exhibition, some farty arty bloke had hung a grey piece of aluminium up with two bits of wire and labelled it a French village. People looked, it's just a grey piece of metal like it, a French village. And this is what modern art is: lunacy. Absolutely,
it's meant
lunacy.
To create that thing called cognitive dissonance, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's what it's meant to do. That's one aspect of those words. They'll put, like a pile of poo, what's his name's contribution to the modern art world recently that you just mentioned. But then they'll give it, some title like Sunflowers at Sunset, and it's meant to cause a discord in your head. It's meant to do that, to let you know that, you know, your standards about beauty are nothing to us and all this kind of stuff. And it's disturbing our natural culture. I don't mind that they do it. I mind that they do it in our home. That's all it is.
That's what I know. It's like an illness.
Go find a place to do it, but you don't do it. We don't do that sort of thing, or we didn't, you know, when we were happy. But then when we weren't doing that sort of thing, we were a stronger people in every regard, you know. And all our people now can become strong again, but we have to remove these kind of diseases that have been laid over us. And then generally all of a sort of psychological and nervous disposition. People now, if you can't speak, you're done for. That's it. Once free speech goes, and what they do is they're just basically taking it away slice by slice out there all the time.
Going back to what DJ B2 said there, is this week National Diarrhea Week?
Really? Why is that?
It starts today and runs till Friday.
It could be. It could be.
Oh, I like that one.
and we were talking about food earlier on as well. And I think I mentioned this to you, Chris, the other week, about that I had some friends round a few weeks ago for a curry.
Oh, Paul's got friends.
And I put ginger in the curry and they kicked off about it. Apparently they absolutely love that cat. No, I don't have any friends.
I think you need to come on with Jolly Man, because Jolly Man, I think I could be wrong. I think he's a flat earther. So it could be you and Jolly Man coming on with Nathan and someone else who thinks the Earth is round, and I'll be in the media. You know, so
I'm sure we've been here before, Chris. I feel like we've been here before.
We have, yes. But no, really, when you look at what's happened to society now, I was looking at pictures of my local town, which is Cross. Now, and I'm sure local people will agree with me, it's a shithole, a complete and utter shithole. And I saw pictures of it that were taken in 1960, and there was no graffiti up the walls. There was trolley buses, I think it was trolley buses going around, and there was Edwardian buildings. So late Victorian, early Edwardian buildings, and it was the architecture was a delight. What did they do? They've destroyed those Edwardian buildings, and in its place put 1960s and 1970s concrete crap up. And one of them is a car park, which looks like an H-bomb shelter where the plans were put upside down and built upside down. It's horrible. It's bland. And what happens? It's bland. Nobody respects it. And there's graffiti all up the wall, all everywhere. Why? Oh. It's the mind of the user. I mean, this graffiti is getting everywhere. Why? Why do people want to spray crap everywhere? And I think it's a psychological reaction to blandness. If we look at it,
I mean, I don't like it either. And but maybe it's the natural response of people with standards rebelling against the fact that their buildings are completely devoid of any standards of beauty. Maybe it's if I surrounded you with hideous buildings, maybe as a way of asserting your own individuality, you just cover it in all sorts of stuff. Anything. It's a kind of low grade kind of revolt against the whole thing. I mean, I'm being sort of possibly too enlightened for my own good there. I hate it, but if you look at the way that cities are designed, concrete underpasses and all this kind of stuff, is it an exhilarating experience? No. People want to get through those tunnels and out of them as fast as possible. They're hot. They're just foul. Everything's designed foul. Whereas you go back, say, to late Victorian England, you see all these trees lining the streets and there's space. And therefore, everybody, if your buildings are beautiful, you feel like a bit of a numpty if you're dressed like a slob. So your dress standards go up as well, naturally, because you're trying to service the space out of consideration to others. Most people are like that. I know that they're not now because it's been a gradual decline in all of these areas, from clothing to building design to communication in public. Everything is just slack-jawed troglodyte nonsense. It's just, and this is we've still got a spark left in us going, Actually, I'm really interested in having beauty back in the world. Honest, I really am. I'm a bloke, but I know that beauty really nourishes me and those around me, and it makes children happier and women happier, and the women will dress in a more feminine way, and the men will assert themselves in a smarter fashion with their moustaches waxed. This is a natural offshoot of having a kind of, I think, team story. You go, look, this is who we are. We go, yeah, it is. Yeah, the bulk of us, we know we've got a few reprobates. We've always had those, but the bulk of us, this is what we want. And
I agree with you.
We can't have what we want.
Well, they've made the minority look as if they're the majority. And this is what they do with their political correct speech. And I mean, I've noticed that on the BBC, when I've seen shows on YouTube and that, they talk as if everybody, and this is part of the sort of conditioning, as if everybody's with them and you're a part of a weird minority if you're not with them. So, and that's the way they get it over. The BBC do that all the time. And that's all part of the conditioning of people. But I agree with you. When you look at people, they do look sad and forlorn and like slaves, basically. Scruffy, grubby. And I've actually found, I don't know whether you found this, Paul, the difference between when you wear a suit and when you don't wear a suit. When you wear a suit, I find people speak to you in a completely different way and address you in a different way.
That's probably because they think you're the mafia. They think, shit, oh God, where do I owe some protection money here? Shit, here you are.
I think it's probably a reciprocity of decency. In other words, if you're a reciprocity, it's reciprocal, right?
Yeah,
they're returning a favor to you that's not even spoken. If you dress smart, you're saying things. You're saying, on one level, you're saying, I quite respect myself, not in a cocky way, but enough that I'm prepared to go to the trouble of making myself look not too repulsive and hideous to you. And they pick up on that, and they don't want to be repulsive back to you in terms of the language that they use. It works. It works because it's also like part of that hidden language of decency between us, which is still there, but is getting swamped by just low-grade guff everywhere. I mean, but it's cool, it's trendy and everything. Yeah, but it's repulsive and it's dull. And everybody's thoughts are not elevated. They're now down in the gutter. And it is. It's kind of the Weimarization of everything. It's turning everything into the Weimar Republic. It's just everything is, that's why porn's got to go. It's got to go. It's not about being a prude. It's about saying, actually, we've got better things to think about than people's naked bodies. Honestly, really, we do. It's a big deal. So, you did the hokey cokey. Wow, I'm impressed. We've been doing that for thousands of years. But it's all we want to do is talk about this. No, I don't actually. I want to talk about steam engines from 1843. I want to talk about how you do this. We want to talk about a vision for building the sort of beautiful place that we know we could be living in, but most of us, unfortunately, in this lifetime are not going to see it again. So that's why I think glimpses of these older buildings, for example, or when you go to the, you get involved, say, for me, on the Sussex Downs, or you get the Yorkshire Dales, or anywhere where you've got natural beauty, it refreshes parts of the soul that other parts of modern living cannot reach, to paraphrase the beer advert. And it does. It just
I think that also links with the transport side as well, that as much as I prefer diesels over steam, for example, steam does have an element that attracts you to it. And I don't know if that's because we're water beings and you get the sounds and it's alive, if that makes sense. And I was going back and thinking back to what you were saying, Chris, about your town and how it's changed. In that, obviously, years gone by, we used to have trams and trolleybuses across London and Birmingham and all these other places had that mode of transport, which were electric powered.
Yeah.
Now, how did they power those trolleybuses and trams? And because going back to the thing I was saying about the power station, where they took the power stations down, but the pylons still go there. So do the pylons get free energy in order to provide the power to the cities?
Yes,
in the turn of the century, the turn of the 19th century, when these things were new, apparently, how did they power them? How did they get the power to them? Because
they're pulling it out of the ether, aren't they?
That's what
I think they are.
I agree. That's what I think they're doing.
I saw slightly to one side, but the same route. I saw a little clip, an interview with Mel Gibson. I think he was on the Joe Rogan show. It's from quite a few years back. He was talking about a guy that he met in India, China, Tibet, somewhere like that, right? Who was basically emitting energy out of his fingers over the room at him. He had a problem with his kidney or something. And he'd learnt this. He was a full allopathic doctor, but had been introduced to an ancient form of healing, which I am sure has got to be connected with redirecting the energy in the ether, because we are electrochemical beings. Our body is a big electrical thing. You've got electrical charges running through you all the time. It's what's enabling us to speak. All these little electric firing things going off all over the place. And it's a very interesting thing. It's a very brief clip that I only saw it yesterday. But Gibson, he said, he pinned me to the wall. He was on the other side of the room. I was pinned to the wall. And then I rose up about 8 inches off the floor against the wall while he worked to me. He said, and it's as if someone was pressing into me. I could feel this force being pressed into me. And there's a guy I'm going to try and get on the show. There's an assassin guy. He used to be an assassin guy, worked in extremely specialized military forces in the late 50s, early 60s. And I know people who've been to meet him, and he's done demonstrations of his physical abilities. He's a very interesting guy, because one of the things he says is your perceptions of how this line of work works is complete rubbish, right? It's all rubbish. It's complete nonsense. He said it's to get you to do things that make you the most ineffective assassin you ever saw in your life. You don't jump around shouting, carrying stuff everywhere. It's very funny the way he talks about it. But somebody that I know met him and was hit by him, not hard, but he flew across the room. And it was a similar thing. He said it was as if I was hit by a huge charge of electricity. He said it winded me. I flew about 6 feet across the room and hit a wall, right? Got up panting. I was out of breath. And he barely touched me. That's where it comes from. I think you're right. I've seen those things about those cables going around. They're pulling stuff up. There's the higher you go up in the Earth's atmosphere, like 40 feet, 50 feet, there's electrical charge up there. Yeah. You can pull it down.
By the way, John Irwin, by any chance, Paul, that's what Nuclear Ground said.
It's John.
Yeah.
Which is why I was questioning earlier on about where our nearest power stations are, because in the Midlands here, and I was saying this earlier on, that literally every coal-fired power station within probably about 100 miles of here is gone. They've all been demolished, every one of them. Mm-hmm. But the pylons are still there with no power station to provide the power to them, which then begs the question, well, where is it coming from? And if it's free, then it's no wonder that these big energy companies are making such a fortune, because they're basically charging you an absolute fortune for something they're making for nout. And in the old world, red and white paint meant a power station. Now, if you travel into mainland Europe, their pylons are painted red and white, which then makes you think, well, is that because they're actually being powered? And again, the same applies there. You go across to France, the northern part of France is completely flat. There's no power stations within those areas. So where do they get the power from? Honestly, I mean, you were saying before, Paul, about questioning everything. I absolutely question everything now, and when you start and think more in depth on this stuff, that you start to question, well, how did they power these things, and where did it come from?
It's a very good point. It's a good point.
I saw a video years ago, Paul and Eric, of someone tracking the path of the pylon cables round some county, and they worked out that the cables came out of the power station, went round in a big circle, and came back into the power station round the back side, as it were. And what they were saying was the power's not coming from the power station. It's coming from these cables up there that are drawing the electrical charge out of the ether and sending it along the wires. It's completely free.
Well, there's a mystery.
It has to be. Your life is you're automated, right? We move around. I know we eat food for cell growth and everything, but we've got colossal amounts of energy in our body, and it all gets. Where's it come from? There are these stories out there. I know there's a famous one of a Russian woman that didn't eat for 40 years. She's just pulling the power into her body through her pineal gland or wherever it comes in. So some people have managed to achieve a state of consciousness. Let's just call it that, because I can't really explain it. But I suspect that this guy that worked with Mel Gibson, exactly the same. And I think when he was interviewed, he said, is he still alive? He said, probably not. He said, it doesn't matter. He said, there's loads of guys in that region that can do the same thing.
Well, this goes on
cure
Nuki
people.
Brown.
They just come over here. You've got, and he looked at him, and he was looking at him. He said, "You've got a blockage here and blockage there. You've got this, and I'm going to remove all of them." Like, because if you've been around 40, 50 years, your muscles are built up. You've got this, that, and the other. And as you get older, you go, "Oh yeah, it's hurting there. I don't like that." It just does. We're in, we're in the Earth's magnetic attractive force.
You're right. By the way, Nuki Brown says, "I have his book." This is John Inman.
Yeah.
Is John still going?
Yes, he is. Yeah, I have a very good friend who introduced me to. I've not spoken to John for a few years. Spoke to him a lot about 6 or 7 years ago, maybe over a 2 or 3 year period. He's been going through it as well, but he's still around. I have a very good friend that introduced me to him, and there's some of the most wonderful conversations that I've had. And I've got his book, and his book's amazing.
Really?
And it's just, you won't believe that. Yeah, it's called The 16. You might still be able to get a copy of it. It's about this unit that he was put into and some of the training that they go through, and it ain't push-ups. That's not what it's about. It's not about that at all. It's about other stuff. I remember him telling me one of the things early on in his training, I can't remember whether it's in the book or in the conversation. It's probably in both, but he said that when he first arrived at this place, one of the things they said to him was, they said, "You're going to be terminating life. So we're going to show you how life came to the planet. We're going to show you where it comes from, what it is, how you stop it working." Basically, it's like he turns people off. Let's put it that way. It's as if there's a fuse in you. You just get turned off. That's it. It's one way of expressing it. He'd express it differently, but that's the way I sort of read it. It's to do with electrical charges. It just stops the body working of the target.
Wow.
And it's absolutely, it's amazing. It's not that he can't handle himself. I mean, he really could handle himself, right? It's just an amazing story. It's an amazing story. It really is. And he's not all big and braggy or anything. And I remember years ago, no,
they never are those type. They're the most unassuming.
Yeah, he knows stuff that military men don't know. He just does. His training is they put him into a trance for 3 days. This trance took the form of him talking to his commanding officer, who he said is one of the most intelligent beings I ever met. Right? He didn't say human, right? Something very, very different. But an immaculate British officer called Ken, I think his name was. And they talked solid for 3 days. That's it. It was in a sort of semi-hypnotic state, and he saw things. And they explained to him how the different races came to the earth. This is why it's one of the reasons why I bang on about race. It's massively important. This is why it's denigrated and demeaned by the globalists. We're all one people. We're not. We're absolutely not. I'm not about who's better and who's worse. We're different. That's it. That's good enough for me. But we are different. And there's a reason for it.
It's respect for people as well. It's lack of respect. That's what it is. And it's respecting ourselves, because we're not all the same. I mean, when you go to school, you're put into a form, you're put into a class, you're regulated. This is why I think homeschooling is so important. It really is. Now, Haji said, I had a school teacher that could bend 6-inch nails. Oh,
yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't have a school teacher like that. I could actually well, I had a school teacher that could cure insomnia. 5 minutes in his class and you were nodding off, mate. You're out, But no.
My chemistry teacher. Oh, shudder.
Oh my God! Hang on. Did he have leather patches on his sleeves? Chemistry?
No, he wore a white lab coat and he had no chin. I don't mean literally, but he was such a chinless wonder, and he was so boring. And chemistry, I suspect, is probably one of the most interesting things to study, because it's the building blocks of all the matter that's around us. So understanding how matter works is pretty cool, actually. And I'm basically an ignoramus on it. And he made it so boring that I did fall asleep. The most interesting thing about my chemistry lessons is that one of my fellow students, although we didn't refer to each other as that, it was Oi Fatty or whatever, Stephen Cooper, who will probably not hear this, he kept a fly in a Tic Tac box. You remember Tic Tacs? Those little metal tins.
Tic Tacs, Tic Tacs, yes.
So he had a fly in there, and this is when we were using fountain pens, and everybody would take a bottle of Quink ink, and if your pen ran out, you'd recharge it during the lesson.
That's it.
You put ink in. Often messy. People would get ink all over their exercise books.
A little lever, didn't you? Little lever tipped up.
That's right. Yes. I don't know why I'm telling you this story. It's got nothing to do with what we've been talking about, but I've started, so I'll finish. Anyway, inside this box, he had a fly that he'd cut the wings off with a razor blade or a scalpel, right?
Was it still a fly?
Yeah, it was still a fly, but he couldn't fly very much. In fact, that was the whole point. All he could do was walk, right? So what he did, this was extremely amusing to us. He put a little puddle of ink on his exercise book, and then he got the fly to walk through it, and it walked all over the front of his exercise book, and you've got all these little fly ink footprints like dots all over the... Sorry, it's quite sad. I shouldn't have said that. But those are the sorts of things that amused us at the time. I found it cruel. Yeah, but he was only going to live for a day and a half anyway, and they eat shit, So it was just one of those things, and I was it was emotionally very tough then. I didn't sort of cry over the plight of the fly, and it is. I don't know whether it felt. It's a bit like cutting your nails, but you couldn't fly around. Anyway, I had a good time. How many flies can say? Well, I had a great time walking through ink. I don't know.
But the thing is, though, he couldn't sell it, though, could he? Because he couldn't sell it as a fly, because it wasn't a fly. So he can only sell it as a walk.
A walk, yeah. And it wasn't going to walk for very long. And it had dirty blue feet by then. It's all blue.
Yeah. Well, in addition to the skills that we had in an office where we made fart machines, I explained that, where you have 2 6-inch scale rules with an elastic band in between. You turn them back like this. And we was actually on the last week of contract, so we didn't have much to do. We had a big toffs coming around the office. So we made these fart machines. So we're sitting there going, and Australian, gosh, Drew, I shouldn't have had that lunchtime, and all that. But there was a chap who was brilliant. You see, it's marvellous what you can do with a scale rule and an elastic band. And he could hit flies really accurately. And he actually deliberately cut a fly in half with his elastic band. So we said it was a rugby player, it was a fly half. But no, seriously, there's a fly in half and it's still living. I mean, how does a fly still live when it's
happily married?
In half?
Happily married with 10 million children.
Yes.
Yeah.
Born in shit.
Do you remember that? Yeah. Do you remember, James Coburn, the actor? You remember James?
Yes, James Coburn.
He had a mouthful of teeth, didn't he, that lad?
Yes.
Quite charming, grinning everywhere. When he grinned, the whole screen was just full of this big toothy grin. Anyway, he appeared in these sort of spoof spy films in the 60s.
That's it.
James Bond.
In Like Flynn.
Dean Martin did Matt Helm, always sort of semi-drunk and just slobbering over some, juicy brunette. And then he did Flint, didn't he? Our Man Flint, I think.
Our Man Flint, yeah.
There's a scene in one of the, I think it might be the first one, where he's lounging around in his pad, and he's all cool because it's the 60s and everything. Mm-hmm. And there's a fly buzzing around, and he's got a straw, and he takes a sewing needle and he puts it in the straw, and he blows it like a blowpipe, and he pins the fly to the wall with the needle. And of course, we all wanted to be able to do that until we realised it was impossible. You can't do that except in films. But it was a good scene in the film. The fly wasn't happy there. At least we didn't pin the fly to the wall with a sewing needle. But James Coburn could do that, probably because of his teeth. I don't know.
Seeing one of our places I worked, one of the places we moved into, that had got a load of flies in it. And one by one, I got them all with elastic bands and shooting them at the... I think we started off with about 30 or 40 of them, and whittled it down to one. There was one left. I thought, I'm going to get you. Got him. Got the lot.
That's very clever. Didn't you make fart machines, though? They're
So you didn't have much sympathy for the flies then either, did you? You're vicious. Well, the Fly Preservation Society will be after you.
Well, they'd starve to death, wouldn't they? So I was saving them a job, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But going back to school and chemistry.
Ooh,
Well, just very briefly, some of the tales from my school time, and one of my friends, we were doing a thing where you had to heat a test tube at the bottom and one at the top, and the mate who I was working with at the time, I said we had to put the test tubes away. I said, we heated that one at the top, even though I knew we hadn't. And he burnt his hand. I burst out laughing, and the teacher said, "He said, you shut up, Godding." He said, "You shouldn't be laughing at that." So that was brilliant.
What was that stuff? What was that stuff that was it sodium or something? If you dropped it into water, it just popped and.
Magnesium, that isn't it?
Well, yeah, magnesium. It just went off like a micro firecracker. Of course, everybody just wanted. So can I have some more magnesium? No.
Well,
yeah,
if you want fun, if your kitchen sink's clogged up, best thing to do is get some bicarbonate of soda, pour it down the sink, and then pour white vinegar in. It goes, it sort of fizzes up, and it gets all the crap and everything out, and it works. But it's quite fun actually when you see it. It's like sort of like a mini bomb. It fizzes like anything. So it amuses me anyway. I enjoy doing it.
So when
you were talking about something the other day, Eric, and I think I suggested that you doing sort of these little practical brief videos on stuff like this would be great. Eric's top tips.
Yes,
this would be just
top
great.
Tips. I'm planning actually. Be straight with you. I am planning doing money saving tips because the Americans are doing very well with it, and also little tiny sort of 10-minute videos about different areas around that people don't normally see. For example, Waltham Abbey is another one. It's a beautiful church. It really is. And I think these sort of money saving tips, like do you wish to lock your bicycle up very cheaply? Well, as well as having a lock, put a pad, buy a small tiny what do you call it? Padlock from pound shop, little tiny ones which you use on your packing cases and things like that when you go on holiday, and then just put that through your chain. Now, if someone comes along and wants to nick your bike, yes, they can actually undo the main chain with an angle grinder, but it'd be very difficult to do that on your chain. They're going to knacker up the chain, aren't they? So they go onto another bike. So that's my top tip. How to secure your bike.
You've missed
I quite
the
like
biggest
that one
there, though, Chris. So you see, what you could actually do is just advise people to remove the saddle. So unless it's Elton John that turns up, I suspect they'll leave it where it is.
You've got to take your saddle with you.
You could put a small polythene bag of nitroglycerin underneath the saddle, so that as soon as it starts moving, it blows their arse off. That would.
Yes, that's an idea. But the good thing about this, you must put a bloody great red label of some kind, key fob label, because you're going to get on and forget the bleeding locks there and fall arse over tit off your bike. So that's the best thing to do. You've got to have some tag or something to remind you that the lock's there because it's so small. But it's only costs about £1 or so.
So it saves your bike, but then you end up in hospital because you've forgotten about it.
That's right. Yes.
You forgot where your bike
tips.
was parked.
Well, on the 18th of this month, Lidl are going to sell vegetables for 8 or 9 pence a pack. So there we go. Oh, by the way, Paul, did you get that steam pressure cooker from Lidl's?
I haven't bought a pressure cooker as yet. No,
because they got them on sale in Lidl's for £34, and they're 6 litres, and they're German pressure cookers. So,
yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, I might well do. Somebody actually sent me a thing for another brand, a German brand of pressure cooker, which is apparently the Rolls-Royce of pressure cookers. But it was a bit pricey, £344.
Yeah. You want a Hawkins, mate, from India. They're bloody good. Steel is a lot thicker than the other wet pressure cookers, and you get more money, more value for money, and you can get them off eBay. You don't have to get them straight from India. Get a steel one, not an aluminium one, as we say in America. Bleeding good. And you won't be putting your hand in your pocket every couple of years getting another bleeding seal for it, because the seals last forever. So
we'll be going pressure cookery very soon. Can you do dumplings in a pressure cooker?
Yes. And
I haven't had a dumpling in about 5 or 6 years. And
I like a nice pair of dumplings.
I quite like a nice. Yeah, and it's a lovely word, isn't it?
Dumplings.
It just sounds yummy.
I tell you what you do. You put steaks in your pressure cooker. Do them for about 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, something like that. They melt in your mouth. Seriously.
See, I'll just stick to my saucepan and doing my casseroles in that. I had a chicken casserole for tea tonight. It was very nice.
Really?
About an hour.
Yeah. Well, my chicken is actually in the slow cooker as we speak, and it's cooking, and it's going to be on for 12 hours. But all the places say it's too long, 12 hours. But sod it. I mean, I don't think you can overcook things in a pressure cooker. All right.
Did you kill it first, though?
That's the only trouble. Feathers all over the place.
I did a chili today in the slow cooker with 1.5 kilos of beef because I'm quite hungry. No, it's to actually feed a few over the next few. The thing I like about the chili is it just lasts 3 days at least because of the spices in it. It's just good, and I don't have to do anything now until Thursday. So this is
what I do. I do things.
Eric, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
No, I can't hear you, but Patrick. You're there. Yes. Hello, Patrick. Hi. We can't hear you at all. No. Hello. Where have you been all this time? Hello. How are you?
I've been listening intently, and I had to drive home from work and whatnot. But other than that,
we need a note from your parent.
I heard Paul say something about Frank Gehry dying.
Yeah. Well, there was much happiness in Tinseltown here. Yeah. We were very happy about that. Yeah.
I had done I had worked for a photographer. We did a book on architecture out in Lake Minnetonka, and the lady's name that wrote the book, her name was Bette Hamill, and she used to go scuba diving with a lady by the name of Leni Riefenstahl. I don't know if you know who Leni Riefenstahl was.
Yes, that was Mr. H's photographer.
Yeah. I remember going out to this house that had been designed by Philip Johnson, and in the backyard was a guest house designed by Frank Gehry, and it was just the most ugly looking thing you'd ever seen. And we were told not to go in it because it had black mold all over the inside of it, because nobody went in there because it's just so ugly.
Just repellent, absolutely repellent stuff.
That was just reading. Oh, go ahead, Paul.
Sorry.
Go ahead,
as I was saying, the BBC used the word influential. Sorry, cough splutter. Influential to describe his work. And I suppose it was. It influenced loads of junk architecture for decades.
I think the ugliness is the greed in society. They want to build things fast and cheap and make it, just not take the time to design it like Eric was saying.
Gehry
slap him up.
Inherently wouldn't know anything about beauty because he doesn't come from a people that know anything about that.
No.
Let's put it that way.
Goldfinger was the worst, though. My pet hate is Goldfinger. It was so bad that when who's the bloke who wrote James Bond? Oh, Fleming wrote James Bond. He hated his architecture so bad. The arch villain was Goldfinger, and the real Goldfinger was a bit pissed off about it. Actually, seriously.
I was reading about. That's why he wrote that as the villain.
The thing is, though, we know that it's all about money. So if you build a cheap crap, really cheaply built building, in 10 years' time they'll demolish it, and then somebody else will get a contract to build something else on that plot of land. So they make an absolute fortune out of it, and that's what it's really all about. It's if they don't want buildings to last for 50, 60, 70, 100 years, 200 years, because there's no money in that, is there? It's
interesting.
The same plot of land.
That same so the Frank Gehry guest house was built next to this house designed by Philip Johnson. I was just looking at his Wikipedia article, and he's a character. He was a gay, for one, and early on he was a supporter of Hitler back in the day, according to the Wikipedia thing. I don't know how true it was, but he was also a correspondent for Father Coughlin's book magazine Social Justice. But then it seems like after the war or during the war, he became he changed colors of a sort, and then he ended up designing the Seagram's building, which had this restaurant in New York City called the Four Seasons, and it's a very famous type thing. In that there were 4 people that used to dine at the Four Seasons regularly. It was Philip Johnson, the guy who ran Simon & Schuster's publishing, And then the owner of Seagram's, who was Bronfman. I'm trying to think of the guy's name. What was the name of the Bronfman? That he ran the Anti-Defamation League and all these different groups. Edgar Bronfman. I found that very interesting, that supposedly he was a white supremacist Nazi sympathizer, and yet at the same time he's meeting regularly with Bronfman later on in life.
Well, sorry, I didn't mean to cut across you.
No, that's all right.
If you look up Trellick House by Eno Goldfinger, that's in Hammersmith in London. It is the most ugliest piece of shit architecture you could ever wish to see. It is vile, and it's actually got a preservation order on it now. It's listed.
Yeah,
I think it's grade 2 listed. It's horrible. It's like a sort of, it's like an elongated turd. And you have people go, oh, it's marvellous, great. And it was a council property. Now it's private property, and it costs a fortune to actually own an apartment in that building. I wouldn't have it. I wouldn't go there if they gave it to me. It's horrible. Who'd want to live in such a shithole? It's just horrible.
Is that just Hammersmith in general, to be honest?
Yeah, it is. I mean, well, quite honestly, it looks as if someone forgot to pull the chain when they designed Hammersmith. It's just...
It's an awful place. It is.
So Geary was known for doing this thing, the Guggenheim Museum in New York City.
Oh, bloody hell. Oh,
and then he designed the Jimi Hendrix Museum out in Seattle, which has been described as 2 trash bags. That's the way it looks. It's just like two trash bags sitting out in a piece of concrete.
What's your view of Franklin Lloyd Wright, who was...
Well, that was another person, like these houses out in Minnetonka, which is the ritzy area in Minnesota. I went to at least one of them, and it's okay. They could be better. I mean, he's probably one of the better ones out of the whole modernist school, but at the same time, well, he designed it for all these rich people. And he had his own sort of cult going on in Wisconsin too. There's the House on the Rock. If you look up the House on the Rock, it's a very famous design down near Wisconsin Dells. But the house I went to, the guy who owned it, he showed me his collection. He had 2 cars. One was like a Porsche 911. The other was a Bugatti Atlantic, which there are only like 4 of them made. Him and Ralph Lauren had 2 of them. It was none of it really impressed me, because I've been to Europe and I've seen the old architecture, the cathedrals, that are full of religious piety, which is missing from all of our modern architecture. And then you look at these modernists. Yeah, there's no
soul in it. No soul in
and these modernists, they do things like they get these contracts from building churches, new churches, and they just look like spaceships or some sort of ugly. It uglifies what's supposed to be sacred. And so when you go to America, to a lot of churches compared to Europe, and it's just ugly, modern, soulless it's architecture.
Oh, we've got it going on here, Patrick.
I know you do.
They started to build shitty little cathedrals all over the place in the 60s and stuff. I mean, they're just... I've actually found a video called Goldfinger's Trellick Tower.
That's
on
it.
A channel on YouTube called Rob's London. The comments are just even more repulsive. It's just full of people. They're always talking about social housing. Who's interested in that? Oh, yeah, the plight of the poor. It's always about this. I lived there and it was great. The views were wonderful. Not for those of us on the outside of it, mate. It's just they're all sycophants. He used to come and see us in the office and call me dear old boy. I would have just punched him in the face. Take that crap down. But people they're just wet.
Well,
we're surrounded by loads of drips.
But he had no sense of humour. I mean, Goldfinger had no sense of humour, and he was a Marxist, spot on, total Marxist.
Yeah.
That was the thing.
I posted it in your Telegram channel, Eric and Paul, both of your channels. BBC interview with Bob Hoskins after he had done the Long Good Sunday.
Yes, that's interesting.
Long Good Friday. Yeah, and he's talking about how the greed was just ruining London at the time, and they were building all these monstrosities, and nobody could afford to live there. It's a good little documentary for the BBC. You know, it was back in '83, I think, is when it came out, but it was decent.
I think it's fair to say that London is definitely like that these days. I mean, there's a lot of modern architecture going up there, and the people who live there are being slowly pushed out to the outskirts, as it were. So it'll get to a point where London will be nowhere for anyone to live, really.
Ethnic cleansing.
I think modern architecture, the phrase, just a euphemism for the word shit.
Yes.
I mean, I look around really Vauxhall Station at the moment. They're chucking up metal, horrible. Well, basically just modern versions of tower blocks all along around by Vauxhall Station, and it's just horrible. It's going to get to a point where people, I suppose it's like in Chicago. Is it the likes of Chicago where they'll get to a point where they'll run out of space and they'll literally sell the air above the line into Waterloo, for example.
Like New York City, it's all vertical.
Yeah.
There's nowhere else
they did that in Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago's ugly too.
The line out of Chicago, coming out of Chicago Union, the company Metro sold the air above the track so they could put more buildings up because they'd run out of space. And they literally sold them the air above.
The air.
You go to Chicago and it's the Sears Tower takes over the entire skyline. It's it used to be the biggest skyscraper in the world.
Bloody ugly, isn't it?
Yeah, it takes over the entire city skyline. It's ugly. By comparison, it's just this big black looking thing, rectangular thing, and it's just no soul to it.
Well, we got the Canary Wharf Tower, and you can see that for miles, and it's just a square block with a pyramid on the top. It's just this great big long, and there it is. It's horrible, absolutely horrible. And to top it out, they got an Indian tribe over from America that don't have a fear of heights. And they went up there and did all the top bit of it. And that's really weird that this tribe has not got a fear of heights. Isn't it weird? Something in their DNA, I suppose.
Makes me wonder what tribe.
Hang on a minute. Hang on. I'll put it in.
It's kind of like in Paris. In Paris, they've got the old section, and then they've got this new, the defense or whatever they call it, where it's skyscrapers. La Défense.
Yeah, La Défense.
Ugly. And same thing in Moscow. I went to Moscow, and it's beautiful. The old city is beautiful, but then they've got this new Moscow thing. It's just disgusting. Same type of skyscrapers, and you go there, and it's just like being in America. To me, it's like Little America. That they're trying to build in all these places in Europe, where it's like they want to keep their nice culture, and they have limits on the height that they can build buildings. So they go and they just like go to the old go and build the new skyscrapers in just one section of the city, a ghetto or of some sort. It's soulless, and it's the same kind of corporate culture that we get over here. The Starbucks and all the chain merchandising things. But
so that's the other thing that's lost in our country is that our towns are all pretty much the same. You can go to any town in the UK now, and it's all basically supermarkets and charity shops. And in the case of here, there's about 400 bloody cafes. So I reckon a granny could go into a different cafe every single day for about 3 weeks before they actually get to a repeat.
But by the way, the Indian tribe is the Mohawks.
Oh, the Mohawks. Yeah, they're Iroquois. They're from New York and the East Coast. Oh. They're like the Huron and the Algonquin, which are into Canada and northeastern, like New England. Mohawks used to always go up and down the Hudson River and raid all of the colonies. So they're the ones that built New York City. That makes sense.
That's what they worked on the Canary Wharf Tower, the top bits, because I suffer from a disease when I get up high. It's called cowardice. I don't like heights, Ah!
Well, that's like the Chicago Sears Tower. You go up there. I remember going up there as a youngster, and just the building would sway back and forth with the wind, and it's the windy city, and you could just it's very nauseating when you look down and you see everything. It looks like little ants and the cars driving down in the streets.
The building, the Lower Thames Street, it was actually for the Citibank we were doing it for. We had a meeting up on, I think it was the 10th floor, and we didn't know because they had this stuff called Wrigley tin. And what it is, they put this in between the steel structure, and then they pour concrete and leave the Wrigley tin there, and they pour concrete on top of this Wrigley tin, you see. And we didn't know that they hadn't bolted it down, you see, and it's rather a windy day. So we were all standing there, so I was looking at it. And suddenly, a gust of wind came up, and we just felt the floor go up slightly and then down. And everybody went quiet, and I sort of went a strange colour of grey. I think we better continue this meeting in the office. Yeah. But, because it's a fantastic view of Tower Bridge, right next to Tower Bridge, and HMS Belfast and London Bridge. And I went there a couple of days after a Royal Navy ship had actually smashed into London Bridge, the new London Bridge, not the old one. And what had happened is apparently tugs, so I heard, tugs were going to turn the ship around, and this captain was a bit of an arsehole. I don't need tugs to do this. And the tide took it, and it just went sideways, went boom into the side of the bridge. And apparently, everybody on the building site went, "Hey!"
Have you ever, with buildings? I was just reminded of something. I was just doing a quick search on it. Straight lines. Yes, there's lots of straight lines, aren't there?
Yes, I don't like straight lines.
Research in neuroarchitecture suggests that modern straight-line angular architecture may trigger a subconscious stress response, potentially activating the sympathetic nervous system's fight or flight response.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Do you know?
That's right.
So when you're around all these blocks, this is why you want to get out, because it ain't beautiful.
And we was told on the first week when I went to learn architecture, the lecturer said, architecture works on your subconscious. Remember that. So what you see your conscious and your subconscious. And that's why there's, for example, there was Thamesmead, which was like a pile of shit that was built next to the River Thames, of these 1960s flats. It's built in the 70s, I think it was. And there was boats going up and down and people around, suicide squads, because people, one by one, were literally throwing themselves off the tops of these high-rise buildings. I think they've redeveloped it now, but the suicide rate was phenomenal. Yeah, and it was horrendous. Think of the poor souls that I mean, there was a documentary once I saw years ago when I was a kid, and there's a woman that had been moved into a high-rise building, and she had a fear of heights, so she was on tranquilizers from the doctor because she hated going home because she had to go up this height, and she was sort of like this all the time. What's wrong with councils? And I mean, I just don't understand it. I mean, we should be by now, if it wasn't for usury and that, we should make the Swiss, with what we've got in this country, look poor. We should all be living in detached bungalows and things like that. But what's happened? Psychopaths in power have carved a different route for us.
So is that why tower blocks and so on have such a stigma in that when you look at them, they give you a bit of a, not fear, but you look at them and think, I really don't like the look of that.
Yeah, no, it's fear. It's a kind of subdued fear. It's to do with sharp angles being synonymous with threats. Here,
well, it's like curvature. Curvature actually calms people down. This is why we're getting more of a violent society, because we've got sharp edges. Sorry, I chimed in on you there.
No, it's true. It's absolutely right. You got what? Just because it's got absolutely. Listen to this. it goes, and just another article. They explain how architecture can strongly contribute to allostatic overload. So when we perceive a threat, the stress it creates releases cortisol and other stress hormones. This shifts our systems to the sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight. With regular or chronic stress, this cascades through our systems, taking its toll on our body's systems and, in response, produces an inflammatory response in the brain and body. This has been linked to a huge number of ailments, from cardiovascular and celiac or celiac disease to allergies and arthritis. Modern cities kill us. That's it. This architecture is slow kill, like all their stuff is. It's just...
Must be why
and they know this. They would have known this.
Oh,
this is why
well,
they do it.
You look about it. You look at the beautiful Victorian Edwardian buildings and things with a beautiful curvature. You see, they found that when they chop trees down in a street, the crime rate goes up. Why? Because it's the trees. We live for thousands of years in forests. Millions since the beginning of time, and it's only in recent years we lived in cities. So we need some greenery and curvature. You look at curvature in nature, it calms the mind. Sharp, angular things don't calm the mind. And they found that, in the 70s when they had that idea of sharp cars, remember that? Austin Princess was like a bloody door wedge.
Yeah.
They found that driving got worse because people were getting more angry because they're seeing these angular wedges coming towards them. It creates
That's why, as a young man, you and I and all other young men in the West wanted a Ferrari or an E-Type Jaguar. That's what we wanted.
I thought it was interesting.
Well, look at the curvature. Yeah.
You showed
Listen
me
to
that
this.
Honda.
One more paragraph. Let me just read you this. This is brief. It just follows on from the last one. Ellard, who must be the guy behind the article, it's about Colin Ellard, a psychologist at Canada's University of Waterton. He goes on, it says, Ellard adds that the psychological impact of not engaging with our surroundings, the absence of arousal, which straight-line, flat, unfeatureless buildings bring about, can lead to self-harming and addictive behaviours. This has been noted by the extended science of boredom from James Danker, among others. This is why these cities produce drug addicts. It's all their fault. It's not entirely, but it's definitely a contributory factor. That sort of feeling of listlessness, of non-animation, no real verbal communication, of joy taking place on the streets outside. It's dead. It kills us. That's why they've all got to come down. They've all got to come down.
I agree with you. Well,
we'll save money on the national health. There you go. We'll get everybody on the health thing.
I actually... Sorry, carry on.
Well, so I think that what you were saying earlier on, Chris, about Thamesmead, I have been through Thamesmead, and the last remnants of the old... It has all been redeveloped now, and it's all modern stuff there. But the old Thamesmead was horrible. It was basically just a concrete jungle, which if you live there, or if you're born there and you live there, and you think it must be really, really depressing to look around and think, well,
horrendous.
I don't think I'd admit to living here. I think it's a shithole. And it makes you think though that maybe that's the reason why we do feel like we do with regards to the modern buildings. And I've said before, like when I go to Prague, or when I used to go to Prague Central Station, there was three exits out of it, all underground. But one of them, you could see into the dome above the station. And I could stand there for 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and I'd just get a shiver down my spine. Even just thinking about it now, I get a shiver. It goes down my spine just looking at the beauty of that building. It's amazing. Absolutely beautiful piece of architecture. But again, it's curved. It's not straight. It's beautiful station.
This article that I've bumped into is amazing. It's really good. I don't want to read it all out. It's very, very long. But how this little pithy couple of sentences. So this guy, Ellard, took people out into the street, right, on a walk in Toronto and London, looking at what we would call shitty buildings or a collection of buildings. And they had they were monitored for skin electricity, which is a way of measuring arousal, okay, i.e. engagement with your environment. And it said this: low complexity buildings, i.e. boxes made out of junk designed by people like Goldfinger, were perceived to be highly boring and unattractive. Well, it's not perceived, they are. Therefore, they are highly boring and unattractive. Perception's everything. While high complexity buildings, like with carvings on them and curves and domes and everything, were rated as being interesting and attractive. Our findings demonstrate that boring, low complexity buildings are not merely an aesthetic concern, they can affect people at a raw physiological level. Ta-da! That's why Trellick House needs to be blown up. It needs to be just taken down. It's just a piece of junk.
And that's why we need cooling towers back on. We need that. We need the cooling towers back. They
were curvy, weren't they? And they had smoke coming out, so something to watch.
Exactly, yeah. Love cooling towers. Beautiful.
I'm from Baby with the Lathers. I am from Wythenshawe, the world's first garden city. Mature trees everywhere, grass, verges, etc. Not sure it's had any effects on calming people down. Well, another first one, which was built in 1907, was it's north of Stevenage. I can't think of the bleeding name of it now. Letchworth Garden City, and when it was first built, it was I know this off heart. It's 17 dwellings per hectare. So remember that, 17 dwellings per hectare. Then come along a bit further to about the 1940s, and you had the Parker Morris standards. Now, they're standards, they're not what you need to work to, but that's why when you see new towns of the 1940s and 50s, they had huge entrance halls to them because they assumed that people would have big prams because they'd be having lots of children, but very little access for cars and things like that. So Harlow is a nightmare for, cars and things like that. So that was 46 houses per hectare. And you know what it is now? 100 houses per hectare. And there was an estate going up now where I lived, and the one of the councillors asked why we're not building it 150 dwellings per hectare. So we've gone from 17 to 46 to 100, and now they're looking at 150 dwellings per hectare.
In answer to the question with Baby with a Laser, it's a possibility because Wythenshawe is on the flight path into Manchester Airport, and it's literally right next door to Manchester Airport. So although you've got all those nice trees and verges, Wythenshawe isn't in exactly the nicest position, should we say, within Manchester.
No.
It's literally the last stop before you go to the airport.
The thing with I keep forgetting the bleeding name, the Letchworth Garden City, is it's very hoity-toity now. The council houses have been bought up by people because they were quite big when they were built in 1907, and it is quite green. I wouldn't like to live there because it's a bit like sort of a green Milton Keynes on acid. So anyway, well, you could describe it. It's dead straight roads here, there, and everywhere, and it's just off the A1, M1 rather, there. But it's all right. I don't like cities. I mean, all right, it doesn't feel like a city. It does feel like a garden city. It is very rural. Harlow is said to be a garden city. Stevenage is a garden city. A lot of my family come from Stevenage, but at the outskirts of Stevenage. And I remember as a child going with my mummy to my aunt and uncle that lived in Datchworth. Now, Datchworth was a long way from Stevenage. It took about a couple of hours to get to Stevenage town centre by bus. Now, Datchworth is on the outskirts of Stevenage. That's how Stevenage has grown. It's phenomenal now. And Stevenage, again, it's just all full of concrete. It's soulless. Yeah. There's no soul in the place at all. It's horrible. It's sad.
Yeah. And I've put the link to this article, by the way, in the YouTube chat. And it's only from May of this year.
Thank you.
It's titled "Boring Facades Can Seriously Damage Your Health. What do psychology and neuroscience tell us about what architects should promote or avoid in facade design?" And it's tremendous. It's a very detailed article. Of course, they're looking at it from an architect's point of view. But I mean, look, I don't like cities, but I tell you, if it was like London of 1880, I'd probably be all right with it. And how about an Art Deco city? Count me in. I mean, there's something
Art Nouveau.
about...
No,
yeah,
Art
that's
Nouveau
what I mean. All
me.
that kind of stuff. All that kind of stuff. You know, there's the Fisher Building in Detroit. Detroit, of course, is a dump, I understand. Yes. But the Fisher Building is worth having a look at, particularly the work on the inside of it. I mean, the outside's not too bad. It's a bit boxy, but at least it's a proper sort of stone building. But inside, it's just some of the most astonishing sort of stuff. And you just go, ooh, I don't want to leave it. I'll just sit in the lobby all day because it makes you feel good. Modern cities do not make you feel good. They don't.
I suppose one thing we have in the UK is at least our houses, for the most part, are built with bricks. But I don't know if it's the case with yours, Patrick, but a lot of the footage you see of mainland, many American cities, is that the houses are built of wood and wood paneling.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah,
it's the history of America getting... I was watching something about that. It was obviously the abundance of wood. You know, it's not like that now, but when they were actually building all these things, most of America was covered in the most colossal forests, just tons of it. So it's cheap as chips.
Yeah.
And that's why the architectural design is different because of it. You got more land as well, so being lots of single-story buildings made out of wood. Generally, I know they've got
here in Wisconsin on the north shore or north of here on the south shore of Lake Superior. In Ashland, Wisconsin, they had the biggest blast furnace in the world for making pig iron, and they would ship the iron ore over from Minnesota, and then they would take. For coal, they didn't have many coal mines, so what they did is it was logging all over, and they just used trees to smelt iron with.
Right.
So a lot of, like what you're saying, there's an overabundance of wood.
Yeah.
And it went to melting metal, to building all these houses all over the place, and the rail networks shipping all of that all over. So... yeah.
So the big difference, though, is that... sorry, carry on, Paul.
So that was the one thing I've never really understood with the likes of like the states where you get the hurricanes, not the hurricanes, you get the tornadoes.
Yeah.
And then they make the houses out of wood. We think, well, in areas where you're prone to getting tornadoes, would you not make the houses out of concrete to make sure that the house stays where it is when the tornado comes past?
There again, they make it cheap because of greed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, do you know what the doors are made of on a H-bomb shelter or a blast shelter? You'd be shocked when I tell you.
Plywood.
Design one. No,
Lego.
Wood. No, wood.
Balsa wood.
Because steel melts, but timber burns down to about a quarter of an inch or so and smoulders. So it stays in place. But the big difference also between houses that were built up until about just after the war, World War II, and now, is they used to use lime mortar, and lime mortar takes forever to cure, so it's very flexible. So if you take a wall down that's been constructed of lime mortar, it comes down very easily. But now they use cement mortar, and cement mortar makes the wall like glass,
impervious to water.
That's right. So you just bash it and it'll smash, and that's why so many buildings withstood the Blitz and things like that, because the walls would flex backwards and then flex away, and it made it flexible, and the walls would flex with the ground, so you didn't have cracking along the walls so much as you get now, because the walls are brittle, whereas they used to be more flexible. So lime mortar was a bit better.
It lasts longer too than the Portland cement that we're talking about.
Yeah,
that Portland cement. A lot of times, what they do, they add rebar to reinforce it, but that rebar corrodes inside of it because the moisture is all trapped in there.
Yeah, it's all called spalling, and what that is that they haven't left enough cover on the outside of the concrete, so it should be about an inch or so, and it's called spalling. And when you get to steel, you see all the rust coming down the front of the concrete facade. Yeah, spalling is a big problem. You see it on loads of 60s buildings. It doesn't upset it shouldn't do. It depends on whether it's a Y10 or something like that, the bar inside. But it shouldn't really upset the structure of the building. It just looks bleeding horrible.
I like that old lime plaster.
Well, I noticed on my walk to work, I walk under one of the motorway bridges on the way to work, and the amount of big chunks that have come out of it's a concrete bridge or concrete bridge that the motorway sits on, the amount of the massive chunks that have dropped out off this concrete thing. I then start to wonder, well, is there something in the water that's, because concrete in theory shouldn't deteriorate?
What it is that you've got two dissimilar materials. You've got steel and you've got concrete. Now, what they did do, they had pre-stressed. They would stress the steel sometimes, and then pour the concrete, so it was like an elastic band, sort of holding. But the problem with that is, you try and demolish a building that's made of pre-stressed concrete, and it could explode. But no, what happens is that concrete itself shouldn't let the moisture through, so it should be actually trapped there in situ. But if you have little cover on the actual steel, but what I mean by that is you don't have much concrete next to the steel, then you'll have this seepage coming through, which is called spalling, and you see the rust coming along, and then eventually, as movement and things like that, bits of concrete will fall off. If it's bad, it's all different types.
Have you heard of a thing called superwood?
No.
I've just done a quick search. I was watching something on it over the weekend. Superwood, a revolutionary engineered wood material developed by Inventwood, all one word. They have a website which is inventwood.com, that's significantly stronger and lighter than steel, created by chemically treating and compressing natural wood to remove lignin, enhancing its cellulose structure for high-performance building applications, offering a sustainable alternative to steel and concrete. And there's still no shortage of wood. And, of course, it would cause forests to be regrown, which are cool. So it's, inventwood.com. It's called Superwood. It's quite interesting. They take a big piece of wood, it doesn't matter, and after they've sucked all this stuff out, it shrinks in size, and you can't cut it. It's stronger than steel. It's amazing.
Well, look what they do in the. Sorry, carry on, mate.
Well, that makes me think, like with regards, like with America, when they put in the bridges that they use for the railways over there, where the initial ones were made of wood. That must have taken a lot of engineering to know that the wood is strong enough to support a locomotive, for example. And I wouldn't like to have been the first person in that first train. You're going across that bridge today. Am I? I think, can I stay here if that's right by you?
Yeah.
It shows that the strength of wood is very impressive, really, when you think about it.
It's incredibly strong. But we were years ahead of the world in this country after World War II with plywood technology. And there's a house I think it's in West London, that's made out of plywood. And it's still standing. But the building industry took a dim view of it because, you see, another thing I was told is that whatever political party's in, the building industry is always in the wings of a political party. You don't see them, but they're there, pulling strings and things like that, because it's one of the biggest employers. And this is why they knocked it on the head for prefabricated buildings, which they do in Germany, where you put the footings in of the building, let them cure, and then a truck comes along, and in 2 days you've got a house. It just goes straight up. It's all prefabricated. But again, it does people out of work. But the big problem with buildings is it hasn't, apart from, tipper trucks and things like that, it hasn't changed since biblical times. It's still, when you look at the house, it's very, very crude the way it's built. But I know what they did in the Midwest. Have you seen, Patrick, these properties that were built with straw bales? And what they did, they put straw bales up, had a timber frame, and then they put plaster either side. And they reckon the straw inside, even after 100 years, cattle could still eat it because it's just airtight, and they're incredibly warm or incredibly cool in the summer.
Yeah.
They're made of straw bales. And they tried that in this country as well, straw bale buildings.
Well, the wattle and daub.
I guess
wattle and daub is different. It's nothing to do with straw. No,
but it's a similar type of plastering. No insulation.
No. Straw bales are fantastic insulation. With wattle and daub, what they do there, they make a lattice work of very thin timber, and then they used to mix animal dung with various other components, and they used to fling it onto this wattle and daub. Well, often the wattle and daub, they sometimes put horsehair on it, and if the horsehair had livestock
to bind it.
That's right. You get all kinds of fleas and bugs and things in your house. They're not very hygienic.
They used to do that here too. They do the lattice and plaster. And then they mix it with horsehair, cut up horsehair, and then
Victorians
mix it in
did
plaster.
it. And the trouble is they'd find they'd have bugs in their house from the bloody horsehair.
Well, then they stopped doing the horsehair and they started doing it with asbestos.
It's even worse. Well, when I was a kid, our ceilings were made of asbestos. My dad used to drill the ceilings. Oh, just put something here. You know.
It's impervious to fire. It's really good for fire.
Well, I won't catch light because I used to breathe loads of it in when my dad was drilling the ceiling. And also, we had lead pipes.
Yeah.
What about that? Yeah.
Yeah, and so, they'd have lead flashing on the roof and all that kind of stuff too.
That's right, CO5 for lead flashing, yes, but that's all right. We still got lead flashing. That's the finest you can have. They've got all this artificial stuff, but you can't beat lead, and it's always code 5 lead, flashing. Yeah. So there we go.
I want some superwood. Maryland University, Patrick.
Superwood now. Okay. I'll have to look that up.
Maryland University. It's just been released into the market this year. Stronger, light. It's up to 10 times the strength to weight of steel. 6 times lighter than steel. Hello. That's going to be useful, isn't it?
Well, why not do what the Japanese do?
And it's made from wood. It says here on the site, it's made from underutilized wood.
Wow.
Currently, wood that's in the world that's just not used for much.
Like plywood, kind of.
I don't know. You'll just have to. I've not checked it all out. They do something to the wood, and they just compress it so much it just becomes. It looks amazing, and you can paint it and color it, and it looks pretty cool actually. On these pictures here, of course,
stronger.
Cost will be a big thing, but if it's going to be relatively inexpensive to make, could be an amazing material. Yeah.
Well, I do have a question for Patrick. Have you received your Wonder Pencil after you won the competition last night?
Did I win? What
The question that was asked last night about
Sefton Delmar.
Yeah, you won the Wonder Pencil.
I already knew the answer. I was cheating. Sorry, no, I don't deserve it. I was privy to it beforehand.
All kinds of things like that. Yes, but but quite honestly though, when you look at architecture, what I couldn't stand is in the 1970s, people that had brick had put this fake stone in front of the brick. Do you remember that?
Veneer?
2 poles? Yeah, like a veneer of the facade.
Yeah.
But the worst one, and I never forget a lecturer told us this, he said, anybody that paints brick needs to go and see a psychiatrist because they're giving themselves years and years of work of repainting that brick because paint doesn't adhere to brick very, very well. And he said, you've got to keep on painting it. Why do people paint brick? And I've often wondered that. Brick is brick. Why paint it?
But then years have gone by, you used to have, like if you got a store, they'd actually paint on the brick the name of the store, and that's right. In some cases, that still shows through even now.
Yeah. Well, in Austria, you had on the outside of their buildings, you had a picture or what someone painted of the occupation of the person. So so if you wanted a doctor, you look around. There's a sort of sign of a doctor up there. So you go along and you see the doctor. Or if you want to see a dentist, see someone like that. Yeah, that's what they did.
A brothel.
Sorry, carry on.
Shit, no.
A brothel.
No, I'm not painting that one on there.
Well, the problem with painting brick is it's the same thing with the lime plaster. You're making something that's porous and allows moisture to wick through it. You're preventing that from happening by painting the brick. And another thing I see people do
paint bubbles
is the pointing between the brick. If it's a soft clay brick, and you put Portland cement as pointing, the acid from that will deteriorate the brick, and then the pointing will still be there, but the brick will just start eating away. So you need to have the right material for the brick that you're using, otherwise it destroys it. Like I work in a building where we had clay bricks, these really nice looking things, but then somebody put Portland pointing in, and the clay bricks are deteriorating, and the pointing is just perfect. Like they just put it in. It's rock hard. And what they should have done is put that lime plaster in there, because it's a lot softer and it wicks the moisture through it. Because we get these nasty winters where it gets down to 30, 40 below, and then the water gets in there, and then it just has to go somewhere. It expands.
That's right. It cracked like anything, and this is the problem.
Do the winters cause problems with the buildings being made of wood? Because obviously wood expands and
not so much.
No.
Like the house I'm in is about 100 years old, and it's held up pretty decently. So as long as
you
it's
get termites
dry,
at all, or is that America? Is that only in
ants,
Australia?
But
termites.
You don't get termites here, but you do get ants. It's not.
We get ants.
They're not so bad though as termites.
No. If you put oil of cloves down, they hate oil of cloves. That gets rid of the ants. I'll put the oil of cloves down. And
I think ants are quite interesting to watch. Put some sugar down there. Watch them there. They're gone.
Well, you take black ants and red ants and you put them together and watch them fight. We used to do that.
Vicious.
Well, look what the Japanese do.
It's 11:05 here.
Well, we better go. We better go as well. It's been very nice talking to everybody. Thank you very much, everybody in chat. It's been an excellent show. Is there anything, gentlemen, you'd like to say to the people in chat and our viewers before we go? Because you've got a show on Thursday, I believe.
We'll be gassing on Thursday about this, that, and the other. So if you want to join us Thursday, 8:00 over on paulenglishlive.com, please chug along. Probably some familiar voices will be there, I'm sure.
Excellent, excellent.
Yep.
And His Royal Hanorak. Thank you very much.
Thank you to everyone listening in. It's been a great show as always.
And Patrick, thank you very much for tuning in from Wisconsin. It's very kind of you. And also Ben, who's not here at the moment. He left a little bit early. But I'd like to get Ben back because it's always a bloody good show when he comes on. He's Paul English, Ben, and all the team. We've got the team on tonight. Fantastic. Thank you very much. And remember, please subscribe. Shove the thumbs up. If you're feeling generous, you can buy me a coffee. Yeah.
Well, Eric, just a question. What do we shove the thumbs up again?
Well, you shove the thumbs up on the side of the screen.
Right. You said shove the thumbs up. I just wondered where you wanted me to shove my thumb up. That's all.
Shove your thumbs up. Yeah. So you shove your thumbs up, you see.
You ever heard of Switch It, Paul?
Whatever.
My grandpa used to.
No.
Okay, never mind. I won't tell you.
Well, it's been a great show, and we've got another exciting guest coming up next Sunday and Monday. And remember, and I'm sure Paul will have an exciting guest on the Paul English Live show on Rumble at 8:00. And he's also on YouTube as well, aren't you, Paul?
Yep, all the links at paulenglishlive.com. All the links to where we're on. So, yeah.
And cool. Whatever happens, have a bloody good laugh and good night.